On today's Starting Nine, Jake and Carl sit down with Hollywood A-list entertainer Miles Teller to talk about his career in Hollywood, upcoming projects, his approach to work, and of course, his obsessive fandom with the Philadelphia Phillies. Before and after that, we introduce some new segments, including the Starting Nine segment, bring back the Filth Meter, give out some weekly awards, obviously power rankings, and a bunch of shit in between. Thank you for tuning into this episode, and please go subscribe to our YouTube page and all Starting Nine platforms. Let's get going.
Action, and welcome back to Starting Nine. Today is Thursday, May 12th. It is Carl. I am joined by the sleeveless Jake Arrieta. This is our first show away from each other. I miss you, brother. How you doing?
Man, I miss you too. You know, when we were working out, you were all sweaty, gave you a big hug and said, man, your sweat smells good.
It's stuck
with
you.
It really does. Well, I mean, it just kind of smells like nothing, which you don't expect from a guy like yourself. But yes, you know what? It's good to see you again. First show was nice. Look forward to today, man. It's going to be fun.
So I'm curious if this is like the first job you've started in your entire life. Like if all you've ever done is play baseball, I feel like going back to like, because if you play baseball in high school, you don't really have time for summer jobs or whatever. So is this the first time you're getting a paycheck without having to throw a baseball?
Man, I had a couple jobs. So I umpired T-ball for about 2 months, 3 months, and you're just picking the ball up, putting it back on the tee. Kids hit the tee. It's kind of a bullshit job, but somebody's got to do it. And then my dad's like, you know what? I'm gonna need you to do something else too once that's over. So I started working at this putt spot down the street. They had me coming in at like 6:15 in the morning, starting the power boats, using the big blower to get the greens blown off. And it didn't last long, man. So I was at that window selling mini golf, and my buddies would always come up there, right? You guys are playing golf for free, no big deal. And I started giving them pizzas and hot dogs for free. And the guy found out, and he's like, man, we can't have you working here anymore. So that was about a 3-week gig. I'm kind of glad it was, but I learned a lot, definitely.
The concessions are like a big perk at that age. Like if you have access to concessions and you can be slinging like free dogs and pies and stuff like that, like you jump to the top of the social chain.
Well, Andy buddies, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I feel like another interesting thing, your first week of Barstool, like we joked around, we were talking before, dude, the Barstool difference is like huge moments will happen, viral moments will happen that you absolutely cannot script. And we're like, I can explain it to you as much as possible. It's not until you actually go through it. And like your boy, a guy we played golf with, is like in the middle of it right now, like all this Team Hank stuff going on. And I know it's a little troubling for you because he owes you some golf balls.
Dude, it's huge. I mean, the support for Hank, it's endless, right? Obviously, I'm on board. The guy came out to UT with us. What did he lose? 6 or 7 of the balls, which is totally fine. You know what? And like I said in my tweet, if I had to, I'd give him the last one I had off my tee any day of the week.
Yeah. And like Hank, he's the type of guy, we didn't invite him to work out with us. If you remember, it was like, we were just going in a dude. He was like, I'm going to Vegas. I just want to throw a couple. I just want to put, like, that's the type of guy Hank is. So of course, who isn't willing to like stand by that guy amidst, I mean, and I don't know, like in the minor leagues, would guys like sleep with other guys' ex-girlfriends and stuff? Is that like more popular with the ball players?
Well, look, dude, I mean, you know how guys think with their dick, right? Even if it's somebody close to you, unfortunately, you see that shit happen from time to time. I had a teammate or 2 teammates in junior college. One of the guys was hurt, and he was banging another guy's girlfriend in the dorms while we were practicing, and it happens all too often. Mm-hmm. I mean, what's going on, right? I mean, you can't be doing that shit.
No, it's tough. There's a story of a couple Big Ten baseball players at the Big Ten tournament back when I was playing that I swear to God, I say this is like the 2 guys got into the same hotel room with a freshman's mom, and it like got back to the freshman that like his mom was like messing around with.
Well, that's on the mom at that point, right? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like freshman dudes. You got to put that one on mom.
But I think there's something about baseball culture saying where guys are just like a little bit more inclined to be like, whatever, like we're going to all get a shower together. We're going to be in the bus together. Like, sometimes we might cross swords.
Yeah, but you can't cross swords with somebody else's girl though.
And that's 100% the difference here.
Like, that's the difference.
That's the difference.
That's the difference. And there's something about it too. Like why are certain guys willing to put everything on the line, right? Just to come. It's like you just got to come before you leave the house, right?
Best
just
practice.
Be responsible. Be responsible.
That's a great rule. I've subconsciously been using that rule for a long time. All right, let's get to some front page headlines. This is a baseball show.
Yeah, more importantly.
We do have some big stuff here. And I guess off the top, like we were talking in the middle of a conversation last night, Reed Detmers finishes his no-hitter. And honestly, people are saying the no-hitter isn't that big of a deal anymore because it just happens so frequently. Jake, I believe you have some experience with it. Is that an easy thing? Is it a hard thing in your experience throwing Major League?
Come on. And it's not easy. I mean, there's what is it? 310, 320 of them or something like that. Right. So probably a couple a year, but no, it's not easy because you got all this shit that can happen. Broken bat single, guy drops down a bunt early in the game, a little duck fart over the infield. Like so many different things can happen, right? And mine in LA was completely different from mine in Cincinnati. One that I threw in Cincinnati was probably more like Detmers, right? I think he had 11 ground ball outs, 8 fly ball outs, only 2 punch outs, right? So he was in and around the zone all game. Just weak contact, guys weren't squaring them up. And if there was a hard hit ball, it was right at somebody, and I think you saw the play at first base, right?
Yeah. What do you think about that ruling? Was it, and for those who didn't, it was like a soft ground ball and Marsh came over, kind of flipped out of the glove a little bit.
I mean, look, that's a play that he can make easily, right? But he had to go to his right a little bit. Could have gone either way. If you're on the road, it's probably scored a hit. You think?
Yeah, if you're I don't know, maybe in today's baseball, no, not in today's baseball. Maybe like 20 or 30 years ago, for sure, there's no way.
Yeah.
But in today's baseball, I think like the scorekeepers are like, oh, gee whiz, we want everyone. We want everyone to. What's the party like after you throw a no-hitter? I mean, he was at home, so both of yours were on the road.
Yeah,
I mean, imagine like, is everybody on the team in on it, or is it still just like?
Yeah, all the boys are on, right? Like you're definitely having a few beers or something like that. Usually I think the Dodgers sent over like a couple bottles of Dom Perignon for us, right? We wasted it. We drank some of it and just sprayed it on each other, and then we had to fly back.
That's a nice touch. That's a fucking nice touch.
You got to. I got some good photos from that too. But we were flying back to Chicago right after that game, and most of the guys had their families there. So I had Brittany and the kids with me, which was actually pretty awesome. So it was a little more tame than it typically would have been had they not been there. But yeah, it was nice to share that with the family and all the other families on the flight back for whatever it was about a 4-hour flight. Cincinnati, hung out in the hotel room in Weston with 10, 12 of the guys, just drinking until 4 or 5 in the morning.
Oh God. Those got to be some
it's a good moment.
Beers, man.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But and credit to the Angels too. I think we're starting to see the Angels. They're a very good competitive team. I think that's very good for us. We'll get to this later with Trout and Ohtani being able to play in October and stuff. And like their Achilles heel has been getting pitching. They come out in the 2020 draft. I would say they take a chance on Reed Detmers because he didn't have such high volume as a junior in his draft eligible year out of Louisville. They take him 10th overall.
Yeah.
He's been fucking dominant in the minor leagues. He comes up, he's 22 years old. I saw him Mick 070s curve that had big sharp bite. You don't see that type of stuff. He's in the low 90s, but he racks up huge strikeout numbers. So I just want to say congratulations to the Angels. It looks like you might have been able to develop a young starting pitcher to come in and be effective. So
it's nice to see that, man. It's nice to see that. And yeah, when you mentioned to me earlier, he had, what was it, 100 punch outs and
108
innings or something like that.
Innings in the minors with 40 hits.
And that's tough to do no matter what level you're at. So that speaks to his ability to, be deceptive, right? And spin breaking balls for strikes early in the count and putaways late in the count, and he's 11 starts into his career and it seems like he's already fairly polished.
Yeah. Yeah. And a good spring ball.
We got to get Trout the postseason, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's just an absolute, because we can't, especially in the game. I mean, like particularly in the game of baseball, it's fucking historically, it's always just been so difficult to get to the postseason. So all the conversations about legacy just ultimately come down to the postseason. where like it's baked into playing in the NBA, and you're like, of course you're going to the fucking postseason. Like, you know, I mean, not to take anything away from hockey, but 16 teams make the postseason. And I don't know, there's just something about baseball where it's like, unless you get there and you do something, people are just so quick to discredit you. And
yeah, I mean, that's kind of how sports are, right? It's like when you're trying to rank the best players of all time, it typically comes down to, no matter what the sport is, championships, right? So I think that's just kind of natural when it comes to, you know, this level of competition, when you're trying to differentiate, you know, one guy from the next.
Hey, speaking of competition and differentiation, I think the news too, next big headline of the week I'm interested in, like this minor league deal about the minimum wage stuff. A lot of people are happy about it. Minor leaguers probably deserve better, you know, living conditions and resources from Major League Baseball. But it's interesting to me that like there's still guys in the big leagues though that like didn't have minimum wage, that had to fucking grind it out. Like that initial wave of guys that get up to the big leagues that have been like maybe a little bit more coddled by the minors, that's going to be an interesting dynamic in the clubhouse. If you got a guy like fucking Nestor Cortez, who got drafted in the 36th round, who spent fucking 10 years in the minors or whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And a guy who, you know, we had this a brief conversation too, a guy like myself had a decent signing bonus. You know, I signed for 1.1. So for me, it's, yeah, my first paycheck was $160 or whatever the case is. Still, you know, I have the ability to do certain things that other guys might not, right? So my view could be different than others, but to me, the minor leagues is kind of built to weed certain guys out, right? You either elevate your way through the system and get to the big leagues and stay, or not, go back up and down, or you don't play anymore, right? So, and that doesn't mean that guys shouldn't be compensated, you know, enough to fucking live and get by, you know, but like I play with some guys like on off days who would bust tables, right, to get some extra cash. So yeah, I mean, teams are historically cheap, especially at the minor league level, and it seems like if they could get away with certain things and no one brought it up until now, you know, they're going to continue to do what they're doing.
Yeah. And the fact that the owners, like when they get together and they do something, or when Major League Baseball does something that like initially looks like it's taking money out of the owner's pocket up front, like I do think there's larger scale, long-term, you know, implications of this, of being able to control the minor leagues a little bit more. Like you're saying, like if there's guys that are sticking around and make careers out of it, you know, are those really the guys you even want in the minor leagues in the first place? Like if you're trying to build this organization where like guys are pushing each other, like I feel like, for example, like at every level, I feel like those guys are pushing each other to get to the next level. Like there's not necessarily organizational complacency, but like there's definitely other organizations where you find that shit top to bottom.
Yeah, I mean, you might see guys that are happy with making. You could see guys making 80 to 100, 120,000 in AAA, you know, which isn't necessarily money that's going to allow you to retire when you're done playing baseball. But, you know, there might be guys that are making that kind of money in AAA who, you know, their mindset is, look, if hopefully I get called up, but the paychecks are okay. I'm able to take care of my family. And, you know, if this is what I need to do to provide for my family, I'll do it. And then, you know, move on whenever that point might come. So, it's a weird deal. Like I played with Joey Gathright in AAA in 2009, and he was making $800,000, right? And like I remember seeing his first paycheck, or a paycheck he got. Like mine was $600, and his was, you know, a couple 100,000 or 100,000. Like what the fuck is that, right? But you know, imagine being in that situation, right? Yeah, you want to get the hell out of AAA, but when you see the number on the paycheck, like maybe that changes your mentality just a little bit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Last major headline. I don't know if you've seen this stuff. Obviously, we talked maybe a little bit off record before the last episode, but like this dead ball stuff, some of these numbers are just absolutely atrocious. You talk about aggregate OPS. It looks ugly, and I think the real issue that it looks ugly about is the fact that like Major League Baseball hasn't been consistent. So just quick reading this back, over the last 5 years, the average OPS has gone from 750 down to 728. I should say down to 728. And then this year it's at 677. So it's just like astronomically low. And I know hitters are bitching about it, but but people aren't paying attention to, like, the pitchers are complaining because the balls are fucking inconsistent. And that's what, like, obviously there were a lot of HBPs early in the season, the controversy with the Mets and the Cardinals. Like, the pitchers are complaining because it's not a consistent feel, where I think people are naturally like, oh, the pitchers, the ball's dead. Like, these guys are able to get outs. But some of the pitchers are like, dude, I can't feel my fucking cutter. I can't feel my slider or whatever. I was like, would you be be bitching at the manager? Would you be bitching to your agent? Like, how do you get started? How do you get that shit? Really? How do you get that shit off your chest? Or what are you doing?
I mean, didn't Bassett with the Mets, he came out and was, verbally, complaining about it, right? You get one ball, one inning, it's different. A foul ball's hit, you get a ball that's completely different, right? Seams are higher or lower, or the leather is tighter, or you can actually push your finger into the baseball. I know they're using the humidors, right, in every stadium, but that shouldn't change the feel of the baseball, from one to the next. So no, I don't think you maybe can complain to the manager. That's not going to get anything done, right? No. This seems to be an issue that has been going on with Major League Baseball for a number of years, right? And in my mind, it would be nice if they would just come out and have an open conversation about it, rather than just making adjustments to the baseball without telling anybody, right? And this wasn't necessarily about the baseball itself, but look what happened to Tyler Glasnow, right? When they completely decided to take away, guys using, sticky substances, right? Mm-hmm. And just go dry. The guy ends up having Tommy John. And whether it was due to that, him having to grip the ball harder or not, like, we lost one of our game's brightest stars, right? So maybe a little bit more calculated approach in the decision-making. And I just think guys want some transparency, and I don't know if the league is willing to kind of follow through with that. I think they have an obligation to the players to do that. Even if they said, hey guys, we're changing the balls, there's nothing you can do about it, we're going to change them anyways. So at least they'd be honest, right? And I think guys could handle that a little bit more.
Yeah. I'm on the fence that, like, I think they fucking switched the balls back because these scores are going through the roof now. Like, there was a time there where the totals on these games are like 6.5, 7.5, and at least
what are they?
Weeks.
What does MLB want? Right? Do they want less offense, or less? They want shorter games. They want more offense. They want, I think it's more balls in play, right? Is exciting to the fan base, or or people that are watching games on TV or in the stadium. So, but you can't have it all, right? So, like, if like you said, OPS has gone down over the last 5 years, is that correct? Mm-hmm. So what do they want? I thought they wanted more home runs. Now they don't want more home runs. I mean, and then when you involve potentially banning the shift, that extend the length of games too. So shit just starts to get weird.
Yeah, dude. I think, like, the fact that Major League Baseball came out and it was clear that they changed the ball to generate more offense. But then fans were like, I don't really care. I mean, I personally don't give a fuck about a solo shot. And I'm personally not that interested in, like, a strikeout, like, especially if it's like, fouled a couple off and it's like a 12 pitch at bat. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, sometimes it is beautiful to see an 0-0 sinker put in play to the shortstop, and he moves over smoothly, and there's good footwork, and the ball's fucking flying around the infield, and there's a little chatter, and like, there's vibes and there's momentum to the game. And as a fan, I absolutely do not want to sit and watch more than 3 hours worth of baseball, because I want to sit and watch as much baseball as and it's just like, I want to watch as many games as I can, and I want to feel connected to the game. But if it's just dragging so much out of you, and it's just such a taxing thing to follow, like,
it is, I mean, it is a long game. It is a long game, and it can be difficult to watch, especially for 162. Right? Like, it's hard for fans to lock in until, what would you like? End of July or August,
like, once people are like, trade deadline, like, are we going to be a wild card? Is my team going to commit to being a wild card team or not? Like, that's when I'm ready to care. And then even then, once football starts, people are like, how'd we do today? So it is a short window where, like, the intensity is through the fucking roof.
It is. I think that it's going to be very difficult to get a game under 3 hours.
Why?
Well,
Why can't you guys just fucking get out of town and
just
like? I mean, I think that obviously I do.
Okay, so you want to see?
I like a little bit of a dead ball.
You want to see no offense?
No, I mean I like a little bit of a dead ball.
Yeah.
Well, what happens when you take the offense down, you scale it down, then in order to be a major league player, then you have to do a bunch of other shit right. Now you're going to get guys to be in the big league. It's like playing defense matters more. Like being a good base runner matters more. Like there's the value can be driven from other aspects of the game. So you're going to get a higher quality product. Like
that's my own shift.
Yeah, no, I don't like banning anything. I don't like banning anything. I mean, the fact that they have to tell players like, no, you're not allowed to go stand over there, I think is pretty fucking stupid. What about you?
Well, if you ban the shift, I mean, that's not going to help with game times.
I know, but it's really not going to help much at all. You can't just like take the fuck. You can't just be like, all right,
dude, that's unfair. I couldn't agree with you more. Like, if I'm watching the game, I'm like, oh, they're not letting the guys play over there because that's the only place they hit it, or the only place they can hit it. That's just a weird concept when you're talking about the best players on the planet. You know what I mean? It's like telling somebody in the NBA, like, hey, you can't dunk anymore. You know, you're 7'4". We just can't have it. You know, like, nah, it's part of the game.
But the game just bent the knee to the likes of Danny Vogelbach and, you know, the heavy fucking lefties smash it to the right side. And I called out Danny Vogelbach because I love Danny Vogelbach and I love the fact he gets a chance to play every day with Pittsburgh.
Beautiful guy. Yeah.
All right, let's get to some power rankings real quick from some quick observations throughout the early part of the season. But before we do, I would like to introduce our good friends at Celsius. Celsius helps you stay active and energized all day. It's made with premium ingredients, 0 sugar, and 7 essential vitamins. We love essential vitamins on this show. Not like a traditional energy drink, guys. Delicious flavors, including mango, passion fruit, raspberry. How do you say this word? Acai?
Acai.
Acai. Well, they have that flavor: raspberry, acai, peach, mango, strawberry, lemonade, and way more. The list goes on. Definitely my favorite is the raspberry acai. Like the way the acai just hits is absolutely delicious. Celsius energy, guys. Celsius heat. That includes caffeine to help boost energy to overcome any challenge. Celsius BCAA plus energy. Again, we very much endorse BCAA plus energy on the Starting 9 podcast. That helps with recovery after a workout. And then Celsius on the go, which are small powder packets and all their different flavors. So you can just add to your water bottle whenever you need a boost. Go to Celsius.com to find a store near you or order online at Amazon, Walmart, or Target. Celsius Live Fit. Go to Celsius.com, find a store near you. Celsius energy drink. It's fucking delicious, guys. Okay. At what point in the season is it too early or is it too early for us to like compare teams in the way that we're about to do? Is this a stupid exercise is basically what I'm asking.
No, I don't necessarily think so. I mean, we're about 30 games in or so, 31 for some teams. I think this is, you know, a pretty good opportunity and a time to take a look at certain things, right? If you're a weekend, no, that's too early. But at this point in time, I think it's definitely fair to, you know, assess teams a certain way based on the sample size that you have.
Yeah. Personally, I think it's good to get this momentum earlier. We're more talking about momentum and series wins and kind of like who looks good right now. I don't know if like, you know, you could just say if the playoffs started tomorrow, like these are kind of how I would see it or whatever, but I'm interested in your top 5.
Yeah. Well, I kind of toss around a couple at the top. I'm going to go with Anaheim right now as my number 1. I mean, they're first in runs, 5th in batting average, 1st in homers, 1st in slugging percentage. So, I mean, those numbers right there, and based on, you know, how they're playing, I love their lineup. There's really not a weak spot in there.
We kind of glossed over Rendon hitting the fucking.
Well, so how about that, dude? I mean, look, he was 0 for 4 at that point. And you got Phillips out there throwing 37 miles an hour. I wonder if he had a conversation with Joe and was like, hey, man, I'm going up here lefty. And I've seen Baez do it before. I think he flew out to right field. But the fact that he hit one over the fence, that's pretty friggin' cool. Like if you were an Angels fan at that game last night, I mean, you got your money's worth, no doubt.
Yeah, that's like one Rizzo pitch that one time I get to see that. And that last thing, I do think Madden is like the only I think Madden's one
guy
of
that would let that happen.
Like, yeah, fucking go let it rip, man. Come on, baby. All right,
well,
I'm sorry. Number 2.
No, you're good. You're good. Hey, and how about when Rizzo struck out Freeman? I mean,
one of all time. I mean, and you know how bad Rizzo wanted that too. You know,
he's never gonna stop talking about that.
If you said Riz, name your top like 10 guys you would ever want to strike out, he'd be like number 1, Freddie Freeman.
Yep.
Number 2, Freddie Freeman. He would just say Freddie Freeman 10 times.
Right. All right. So I'm gonna go with Dodgers. Obviously, they have a good lineup, right? But I mean, their pitching's elite at this point. 2.14 ERA, leads baseball. A WHIP under 1, which is absurd. A batting average against a 194, and run differential of plus 80. You know, and they beat who the hell they played last night? But they beat them 11-1.
The Pirates. They just fucking
the Pirates
them up and down the field.
Right. So I mean, they just, you know, they're going to bury teams throughout the year, especially, you know, the teams towards the bottom, right? Like teams that don't have substantial enough, you know, starting pitching to hang with these guys. It's going to be a tough year for a lot of teams that have to face lineups like that, and then trying to beat Bueller, Gosling, you know, Urias. Like it's no joke. These guys can really pitch. So Angels, Dodgers, or Angels, Yankees, Dodgers. This is where it got tough, and Colin might be a little upset with me, but I left the Mets off. They were probably number 6. So
that's disgusting.
You know what? I'll make
Absolutely
it up to you at
disgusting.
some point. I'll make it.
You don't need to make it up. I just need to know why.
Well, because I had the Twins and the Astros ahead of them. All right. Ooh. I like the Astros. I like the 2.85 ERA. The slugging percentage is you know, it's not in the middle, but it's up there a little bit. It's 378. They got 36 homers, which I like. And the Twins, their starting rotation, their slugging percentage, what Buxton is doing, and if he stays healthy, man, I hope he does. I mean, it's fun to watch him turn into the player that he's become, right? Because it's taken a number of years for him to transition and take that next step, and it just speaks to how difficult this game is to play, right? He's always had these tools, but then now he's finally putting it together and turned himself into an elite superstar in the game. So very happy for Buxton. So that's my number 5, right? Mets are 6. Sorry, Colin.
We got.
So you want to give me your 5?
Yeah, no, I'm close. We're not too far off. The Dodgers are to me, they're the best team in baseball right now. You know, and maybe I'm a little biased from having watching them play in person on Sunday night, but just, I mean, they're just legitimately perfect. You know, I mean, they're perfect. Trey Turner hitting fucking third, playing short. Max Muncy can go play second, can play third base. You could swap them around the field. You got Gavin Lux playing second base or left field. Chris Taylor is just one of those guys who just like consistently wins at every level and does everything he has to do. People forget Cody Bellinger is their center fielder. I shouldn't say people forget, but like he's kind of lost in the shuffle because he's been up and down. But like when that guy's hot, he's literally one of the best players in the world.
And if he gets hot, how much better does that make the team, right? If he's just kind of, if he's serviceable, that team is really, really good. But then if he steps it up to the level that he's capable of, then it's like teams don't have a chance. They just don't.
And then you have one of the best generational right field, you know, one of the best right fielders of his generation, I should say, one of the best first basemen of his generation. You know, it's not unreasonable to say that these are like Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman are like perennial all-stars. You know, and like they just win every year, and it's part of the system, it's part of the culture. But again, I don't know. They're just fucking rocking and rolling. And then after them, I do have the Yankees, just because when the Yankees get hot, like they get into this mode where like they just bulldoze people. It's like, you know, out of 20. And you can just see it. Like even last night, we'll get into a little bit of Bush League of the Week stuff, but like they're just kind of, when those guys are hot and they're rolling, they're unstoppable. But when the wheels fall off the Yankees, there's nothing that's like honestly more enjoyable to watch, and their fans freak out because they have like a bad 10-game stretch. But right now the Yankees are playing to me. They're the number 2. I got them. After that, sorry. Hey, Colin, I got the Mets 3rd.
I think that's fair. I think that's totally fair.
Of course you do.
Well, if you look at some of the advanced stats on the pitchers, Bassett and McGill are like not messing around at all. These guys are just absolute fucking studs.
And the way he's filled in for DeGrom is just, it's huge for his team.
Well, not even just the pitching, but this team has found a way every single time, even if they go down, to come back.
No, you're right. You're right.
Which Mets teams in the past don't do.
Comeback in Philly, man.
Yeah, that alone. But
Mets
teams in the past lose 99% of these games. And this team this year is finding a way every single time. They're different. Go on, Carl.
No, you're just gonna like my bias is just gonna come out here. Fourth, I have the Brewers. I know that's silly, whatever, but the Brewers started slow. Once that started pitching staff and just the whole thing gets going. I mean, you just can't beating them in a series is just so hard because it's like
that's silly at all.
Burns and they have Woodruff and Peralta hanging around. The lineup to me is, one of those lineups like. To me, like the average Brewer, and I know someone's going to say like, well, if you look at this and that, but like just the average Brewers hitter to me is like 245, with like a slightly like below average OBP, a slightly above average slugging, and like a decent defender. Like there's really nobody that jumps out. Obviously when Yelich was a stud, but to me, the Brewers just play like steady, consistent baseball. And it's like, go ahead, trying good luck scoring more runs than us because we're going to give up fucking 2 or 3.
Well, that's a fact. You have Peralta, Woodruff, and Burns, especially in the top 3. Like you said, trying to beat those guys in a series is going to be no easy task. And their lineup is steady, right? They have guys, and talk about like the shifting as we were earlier. Like these guys, especially when they're down in the count, like they'll take stuff to the opposite field, right? It's really fun to watch these guys hit. So I'm with you. It's a really good lineup too.
And then last, I got the Angels just because I still have this bias on my back that like the Angels are frauds, even though they're not frauds. Just like stuff like seeing Detmers go out and pitch. We talked about Sandoval in the first episode. Like you just see more, like the more I'm going to see the Angels, the more I'm going to like them. But at the end of the day, Trout, Ohtani, Rendon, I mean, Ward's obviously great. They got some other great players, but those 3 in the middle of the lineup is just, to me, that's like modern day Murder's Row.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. No, I'm not wrong.
Yeah, you're not wrong at all.
And Joe's loving it. Joe's definitely loving it.
Joe is loving it.
Do you want to give out some weekly awards?
Let's do that.
Before we do, can we just go to the Mets corner real quick? Colin, can we go to your corner real quick? Can we talk about the Mets while I get my weekly awards arranged? Colin's our producer.
We need to do that. We need to do
absolute
that.
Lunatic Mets fan. Colin, your job right now is just we're put you in the corner. Your job is to convince me and Jake that the Mets aren't frauds.
Okay. Welcome to Colin's Corner. This is going to be the most legit, authentic corner you're going to hear all season because I'm spitting nothing but facts. We're going to start last night with the rally rat. Mets are in Washington, go down 2-0, come back 4-2, win the game. Like I said earlier, this team is just finding a way to manufacture runs. They're getting clutch hits, timely hitting, 2-out hitting. And you know what? Jeff McNeil, he's got balls of steel right now. Mets are down 2-0. He rips it down the first base line to tie the game up. Rally rat comes in. McCann comes in. Fly ball out. Mets take the lead. End up winning 4-2. Oh, did I say winning? Again. We win again because that's all this team does. We got 21 wins on the seasons, which let me do my calculations real quick. Yep, that's the most wins in the MLB. Okay? This team is cooking right now. They're the first team in baseball to get to 20 wins alone. Jake's still not giving us any credit, and it's
no, not true.
Hearing my rant right now. And let me finish off the corner. Let me finish off the corner with Jacob deGrom. We get the news yesterday that he's starting to throw again. He's going to be coming back probably sometime, hopefully end of June, July, which Carl says it's the saddest story in baseball. I say it's the greatest comeback in baseball. This team is resilient. This team is hungry. We're about to get the best pitcher in baseball back. It's over for you guys. I'll see you guys next week in Colin's Corner and in October.
Who do you take out of the rotation when he comes back?
Probably Taijuan Walker. I think it's between him and Cookie Carrasco, but I think Carrasco's shown enough this year already to come back. I think Walker has been a little shaky. You obviously can't take out McGill.
No, can't do it.
So
well,
I think it's
have,
between,
right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, having this depth, and we even had Peterson, who didn't have a great year last year, but he's come up in some clutch spots and has pitched well. So this team is exciting. I'm telling you guys.
Jake, what do you think about? You kind of got slanted around a little bit though. There, are you okay with him?
I'll take every bit of it. I like the passion for his team. I really do, and I did disrespect him a little bit. So I'll take it. I'll take that one.
It's no disrespect to me. It's a long season here.
That's my first Collins Corner. I've been waiting. I want more Collins Corner. You're just a psycho Mets fan, and as a psycho Cubs fan, I very much appreciate that. Thank you, Colin. Weekly awards. No excitement. We'll get there.
I pissed them off.
Dude of the week. This is my award. I like dudes. Dudes is a term that we've been throwing around for as long as I've been around. A baseball feels like that guy's a dude. This guy is a dude. This is typically reserved for players that just exude dominance, awesomeness. They're just fucking studs. It's not necessarily a single moment. It's just more about the body of work. And this one's kind of loose. I could get poked fun at, but the first official Dude of the Week award winner from starting 9 is Shohei Ohtani. First career Grand Slam. I know we don't do moments, but we're talking about this moment for a second. The Angels are a fucking wagon. He's better on the mound. The average is climbing. The slugging's climbing. Over the last week, I think he's hit like 375 with a bunch of bombs. There's some other guys, Margot, who got into the mix and some other names, but ultimately I'm going with Ohtani, the reigning MVP. And that's just the way it is. Cause like at the end of when we say dude, it's like a guy who walks on the field and like even the good players on the other team stop because they just want to see him for a second. They just want to take a look at him. And so Shohei Ohtani, Dude of the Week. Jake, your thoughts?
That's a great pick, man. And you're right about guys on other teams wanting to stick around and watch, right? Stay in the dugout watching him hit BP. It's like when you heard stories about the opposing team wanting to sit in the dugout and watch McGuire hit, or guys like that. So even at the highest level, there are certain guys that still have that separation factor. Like there's almost another gear. And, you know, Shohei's in that category, right? And he's got a teammate that is in that same category, especially if he's healthy. So great week for Shohei. Congrats to him on the first Grand Slam. And not to mention, you know, on Sunday, he had that 2-run double that tied the game, I believe. So big in the clutch, right? And huge for his team. My concern about Shohei, and correct, or, you know, chime in any way you want. I'm a little concerned about his potential ability to do what he's doing for an extended period of time, for year after year. Like, how long can he do this? How long can he pitch? How long can he DH and do it at this level, right? And maintain the velocity. He's a big dude. What is he? He's got to be 6'5" or 6'6". I hope he can do it for 10 more years, 12 more years. It's a lot. It's a heavy workload.
So one of the reasons that I think one of the reasons why I actually do like him in the long run, I talked to Joe in September when he was in town playing when they were playing the White Sox, and we were like, you know, we had lunch and played a little golf together. My buddy's friend. I'm not like name dropping. It's just like I have to explain how I got this insight, and I got it directly from Joe Madden, like over a round of drinks after spending the day with him, and he had said that if you Shohei Ohtani play shortstop, he'd play shortstop. Like he wants to play short during batting practice and check balls. Like he's the type of guy where it's like he wants to hit third. He wants to be on the field every day. He sincerely shows up with like a little kid aspect smile and just wants to play. So if you can have and maintain that level of vibe around the game, I feel like that will enable you to grow. If he truly does love the game, then he's going to grow with it, as opposed to having a skill set and being like, well, I'm just the fucking man. And like sooner or later that just ends. So
that's a good point. He doesn't seem like that kind of guy at all. He's always got a smile on his face, laughing, joking, having a good time with his teammates. So yeah, I mean, not to take anything away from him. Like I said, I hope he can do it forever.
Yeah, for sure. But it's a reasonable question. Anytime you're talking about Ohtani, it's like but then it's like we enjoy him so much that there's kind of this selfish aspect of like, I hope it's like this for a while, because there's so many players in history where it's like, man, I wish that guy kept it together. Now there's one young guy here. You have an award you wanted to hand out when we were putting this together. You're like, dude, we absolutely have to give out an award for this. What is it?
My biggest bag, dude. So this is gonna be our second award.
I didn't know what the bag was when you brought this up. You were like, we absolutely are identifying the weekly bag.
At first, yeah. So biggest bag is just guy with the biggest nuts. And who other could you give it to than Josh Naylor? Right. We had this conversation a little bit, just kind of a back and forth. didn't matter if he was, 0 for whatever up until that point. 8 RBIs, and the only guy with 8 RBIs in the 8th inning or later.
In the history of Major League Baseball, you're saying?
In the history of Major League Baseball.
Great research.
Hits it's pretty easy, right? You're teaching me. Hits a grand slam off Hendricks, on the road, bottom of the 9th. Then he comes up in the 11th inning, hits a 3-run homer. Big fan of his too. He had that gruesome injury last year. Now he's doing his thing again. So yeah, biggest bag, huge nutsack, Josh Naylor.
Yeah, you saw the way he ran in the dugout, the way he celebrated that. I'm in on Josh Naylor for a couple reasons. I like a Canadian baseball player, like just historically speaking, with a good Canadian baseball player that just like thumps, and those guys have like funny attitudes and stuff. Like, I don't know if you played with a lot of Canadians, but like it's like hockey guys. They really are like hockey guys. Like just swing hard, good fucking rotational power and all that shit. No, Naylor's a guy, he's been packaged up twice. He was drafted 12th overall, and then the Marlins ship him out to the Padres, and the Padres ship him out to Cleveland. Especially that was probably a super surprising trade for him when
we made a fuck ton about this guy. Good for you, man.
You're
just on your shit.
Well, I do my fucking research on this guy, and I feel I'm putting myself in the shoes of Josh Naylor, where it's like all this dude did in Canada was hit bombs. All he did, his scouting report, like what people talked about when they drafted was like, yeah, he might be a little lazy. He's a little slow footed. It's like, dude, this guy is the best power hitter in the history of Canadian amateur baseball. Like, do you think this guy's legging out a fucking double? Like, no, of course he's fucking like, all he's doing is dominating. But then to just be like traded around the minor leagues, and it's like, oh, you're going to get your chance here. You're going to get your chance here. He finally gets his chance with Cleveland. Like you said, the gruesome injury with the ankle. He's bouncing back now. You get the for Tito Francona every day. But like you said, the award is for bag of the week. And him hitting that grand slam, the 8 RBIs after the 8th inning, the celebration as he ran in the dugout. If you guys haven't seen it, holy fuck, is it explosive?
Yeah, that's what the award's about. That's what the award's about.
That big league though? Is that a big league thing to be fucking pounding your chest in the dugout, or is it kind of more like
in that moment? No way. Not at all.
Yeah, you're right, because it's late grand. What am I talking about? Late grand slam off Liam Hendricks. No, I'm an idiot.
In that moment, for sure.
That's why he's got the
come on. Yeah.
We have another weekly award, Bush League Move of the Week.
Yeah.
Now you saw this one. The Bush League Move of the Week is actually going to umpire, which Bush League to me is it's just Bush League. It's like, what are you doing? Like, it's something where it's like, come on, man. Like, I guess it is like the come on, man moments, or like the vibes. How would you?
Yeah, this one's justified.
Yeah.
No warning, nothing.
It's the umpire from the Yankees Toronto Blue Jays game on Tuesday night, 7th inning. He tosses Garcia on a fucking 1-0 inside fastball that clips Donaldson in a tie game. It's just thoughtless. It is. Thoughtless.
It didn't look great, but the ball gets away from guys. Happens all the time. Happened to hit him, just above the elbow. Looks bad, but no warning. Just throws the guy out in a tie game. Was it the 7th or 8th inning? Come on. I mean, he's not trying to intentionally hit the guy there. You're not going to put a guy on base.
When they give a warning? Like, are you guys like, oh, they gave us a warning? You guys are sitting there like, we're warned. Or is it like, oh, okay, fine.
If a warning's given, the next thing that happens, anytime someone takes action, that guy's getting tossed.
It's Bush League Move of the Week, dude. It's just use some common sense here, that there's nothing malicious about the fact that Josh Donaldson got hit. Now, maybe the only spin around is we're just trying to prevent future, maybe the umpires went in there with a heightened sense of like, there could be bad blood as the Blue Jays are getting better and they're going to become more formidable throughout the year. But now we're really fucking reaching here, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, just let the guys let them play the game, because then
he overreacted.
The bullpen, and then it's just all the thing. We have enough information at our fingertips now to be like, that's not a reason to be fucking with the pitching staffs, and just let them play the fucking game.
Well, he overreacted, and then the Yankees reliever, threw one up and in at 97 to Bichette. And then the umpire gives the warnings.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he just fucked it up. But we make mistakes.
Last award is Bald Guy of the Week. And there's just a quick one. This because you and I are bald guys, and we want to take an opportunity each week to highlight bald accomplishments. This isn't really anything specific this week, so it's just kind of a cop out. But like the inaugural, or not the inaugural, but the first ever Bald of the Week guy has to be Johnny Sins. I won a bald guy draft with Johnny Sins on the Dog Walk Snake draft. Just a huge moment for me, obviously, as the bald guy in the room. Johnny Sins, legendary performer. He's still going strong. So I just want to give a shout out the initial Bald of the Week guy, Johnny Sins. And we very much are interested in nominations for these categories throughout the week. So for our audience, you guys, like, please, by all means, we would love to get you guys incorporated. We'll figure out some way to kind of give you guys credit recognition. But for me this week, I'm in charge of the first Bald Guy of the Week, and I'm giving it to Johnny Sins. Jake, I know you're a huge fan of his work.
I think we all are. It's hard to overstate what he's done for all of us.
Right.
And I wish him continued success. Can't wait to see what he does next.
Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, let's get to the Filth Meter. He's a filthy bad boy. The Filth Meter, really, we're just going to keep it simple. We talked about Kevin Gossman last week. I think we got a little deep. We like talking about Kershaw, Luzardo. Like, I have this feeling that you have good insight into starting pitching in the big leagues. Why would I know that? Let's go into the first guy on our Filth Meter here. We'll plot this out for social media on the graphics. Follow our shit on Twitter and Instagram for the follow-ups here. But I mean, the Filth Meter, if we're not plotting Justin Verlander this week, what are we doing?
Yeah, you're totally right. And I think that Reed gets overlooked slightly because of what Verlander did, right? I mean, we could put Detmers in this. We could.
Yep.
But the body of work, 40 innings pitched, 20 hits, almost threw his fourth no-hitter, which is just absurd. The guy's got, what do you go, 8 innings, 1 hit. He's 5-0 with a 1.55.
And he's bouncing back from fucking.
He's, I don't get it. There's only a couple guys who have ever been able to do it for this long and maintain this type of stuff and still add things to his repertoire, right? He is showcasing this slider cutter a lot more, seemingly up and into left-handed hitters. We talked about it before. He doesn't have this lights out split, but he's got a changeup. He's got the really good curveball. He's got good command with the fastball. He can pitch up with it. He can move it in and out. And he's got the mid to upper 90s velocity still. Just very impressive. Very impressive of JV, and the tight pants don't go unnoticed.
He's still just pumping them. And it's like crazy that he hasn't. It's crazy.
And after Tommy John missing last season, coming back from that.
Do you think that he is deceptive?
I think the ball just gets on you quick. Looking at his delivery, I've never stood in the box against him. It doesn't seem incredibly deceptive. I would assume that everything is coming out of the same window, that really small window. His pitch FX is probably very elite, in the top however many percent. Hard to pick up what he's throwing. Everything breaks late. We need to ask some guys.
Yeah, because to me, it's like his mix doesn't jump out crazy. We're like, oh, he's got this wipeout. Again, like you're saying, the cutter, the slider, and the curveball all kind of play off of each other. He's got great fastball command, but like Major Baseball draft, amateur draft is coming up, and in the first 5 rounds, there's going to be 24 fucking right-handed pitchers that have velocity that can register just as hard as Justin Verlander's fastball, and they'll have spin rates and all this stuff, and it's amazing. And it just goes to show you, like, Verlander, to me, as good as he is just the consistency and being able to locate and the feel for it and the mastery of it.
That for sure.
He's been doing it for fucking almost 20 years in the
17 years. Baseball. The ability to put it all in the spot that he's attempting to put it, right? That's what separates him from so many other guys. And there's a couple guys that have that elite type stuff that can do it with 3 or 4 pitches. The kids in the amateur draft, yes, they have the high octane velocity, good breaking balls, high spin rate. But can they execute a first pitch curveball for a strike and then throw a cutter on the hands of a left-hand hitter and then put you away with something, a fastball at the top of the strike zone that you swing through. Not many guys can do that in consecutive pitches for 18 to 27 outs. Mm-hmm. And he's been doing it for 17 years, some years much better than others. But when you pitch this long, when you have over 3,000 innings or 3,030 innings, you're going to have days where you get your ass kicked, many of those days. But the consistency factor has been there for such a long time. And that's what's remarkable to me about JV is how he's still doing it. His body is still able to move in those ways. I mean, the hamstrings, the hips, the shoulders, the things that tend to tighten up first, he still looks like he's moving like he did 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, we could have this conversation in 2006, 2011, 2015. Like, this is an evergreen. It's crazy to say that, like, putting a pitcher on the filth meter has been an evergreen conversation. This guy's been like the last 15 fucking years. But then from him, I guess I should say, as far as the filthy though, we do need to like put like some kind of assessment on it. So like, to me though, he isn't. It's like his results, yeah, but like, is it filthy? Is it unhittable? Yeah, the results say it is, but
it is.
Yeah,
not unhittable. Look, nobody's unhittable,
right?
But like I said before, it's the combination of how he uses those pitches, which makes it so effective. When you've got a lefty looking middle away for a fastball, and he busts you with an 87 to 89 mile an hour cutter in, and he locates it, that's filthy, 100% filthy. Or when you're looking down in the strike zone for a fastball, something you can drive, and he gets one just over your barrel and you swing through it, like that type of stuff is filthy. It's the combination of stuff and the ability to locate it.
So then from Verlander though, there's another guy that I very much like that is completely different. And it's the dude from the Yankees, this Nestor Cortez guy, like Cuban born guy, comes over, plays in Florida for a little bit, high school ball. And then he's a 36 rounder, doesn't want to go to Florida Atlantic, ends up going to the Yankees as like an 18-year-old 36 rounder. And he just grinds it out. It's like one of those guys where, like, instead of college, like, whatever, I'm just going to turn pro. I want to turn pro. I don't care. 36 round, give me $1,000 and a bag of fucking balls. I'm fine. And like, now you find this dude just carving for the Yankees. And I feel like the Yankees have been missing like this type of homegrown, like, who is this guy? We developed him out. Like, the Yankees used to thrive on this. So Nestor Cortez, he's our second filth meter. And Jake, I'm interested, like, not every guy looks like a fucking Justin Verlander on the mound. Sometimes you got to be a little deceptive like Nestor.
Yeah, and he even talks about how he's just a normal dude with a mustache and a baseball uniform on, and he's taken advantage of using deception to his ability, right? So he's not going to blow you away with anything. He cuts it. He's got a nice little slider that he'll throw on both sides of the plate. He's got a decent little changeup, and he can spot the fastball. He varies his times in his delivery. He's got that big leg kick. He pauses. So he's using everything in his power to get guys out and to do it at a pretty high level. So, yeah, I mean, he is filthy.
Yeah. And in his own way, too, because, like, I like the fact that filthy isn't just like, it's not just going to be Josh Hader unhittable fastballs. It's not just going to be these like completely dominant things. Like, sometimes filth comes from confidence, composure, experience, like getting to 3-2 and being like, yo, I'm going to fucking throw you a nasty changeup here on 3-2 and just make you look just as stupid if I'm going to locate 96 on the outer half. You know?
Yeah, man. He's created his own type of filth, you know, in a way that's unique. Like you said, something that isn't typical in Major League Baseball. So it's kind of nice to see that, you know, it's different, you know, and he makes it work for him.
You know what else is different about him?
Yeah, Colin, yes, I want to know what.
Unlike Lion A-Rod, Nestor Cortez actually takes the subway to the Yankees games, to and from the games, because it's quicker for him. He said, yeah, I saw an article or an interview like last week where he said that by the time he gets out, all the traffic and everything, he'd rather just get on the subway. And he's such an unrecognizable guy until now, obviously, that no one's ever like bugging him and stuff like that.
Yeah, and in New York, you can totally fly under the radar. I mean, you don't have to worry about getting bothered at all. I took the subway with guys all the time too. Not that I was some huge superstar, but everybody's kind of doing their own thing. But yeah, A-Rod said he took the subway.
Yeah, he said he used to take the subway to the game. I don't know if he said it was like to the Subway Series or if it was just to regular games. There's no chance in hell A-Rod ever took the subway once.
Doubt it.
Now, he might have known somebody who took the subway one time and then just appropriated that story, but I certainly don't see it. I like that, though. I like that. Nestor Cortez taking the subway. That in and of itself puts him further on the filthy meter because he's like one of the guys. He's just ingraining himself in New York everyday culture. Hey, last episode we talked about Kevin Gossman in the filth meter, and this actually led me down this other path. So filth meter, we've got Verlander, Cortez. Take a look at these guys, their advanced numbers and stuff game to game. These guys are killing it. But like last week in the filth meter segment, we talked about Kevin Gossman. And I want to introduce our last segment of the day before we get to this Miles Teller interview, one of your good friends from Philadelphia, from your time in Philadelphia. But I have this idea to this segment I like is called Saberfuckin Metrics, because we're not exactly numbers guys. I mean, a little bit, but every now and then
come on, Carl,
we dig in, right?
Yeah, you know the numbers.
You're
smarter than you look.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I'm not.
We dug into last week. We talked about swings and misses in the strike zone, which is called Z zone swing and miss percentage or something on Fangraphs. We talked about Kevin Gossman throwing fastball changeup. Turns out he's 11th in Major League Baseball of all qualified starting pitchers in getting swings and misses in the strike zone. And some of the other names on this list are absolutely fucking incredible. Do you want to take any guesses?
Yeah. Well, is that from this year? That's all just from the 2022 season, correct? Yeah. Well, let's see. And that's just starters or all pitchers?
These are starters. We're focusing on starters. Kevin's 11th on the list.
Okay. Garrett Cole
at 19%. No Cole.
Garrett Cole is not in there. He's 11th. Really?
Yeah, dude.
Zach Wheeler.
Names are awesome. Some of these names are awesome. No, number one is Corbin Burns.
Is Woodruff in there?
No Woodruff.
Severino?
Nope.
Evaldi?
Nope.
Give me a fucking name. Who's in this motherfucker?
Those guys are too much chase. These are Chris Bassett's third, Shane McClanahan fifth, Carlos Rodon sixth, Scherzer seventh, Pablo Lopez, whose fucking changeup usage is through the roof. Kyle Hendricks,
Bassett. Hendricks is 14th. Bassett was third, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive. What about McGill?
McGill's 13th on the list.
13th.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are in this like 18 to 20% range, which is just like a perfect mix. Kyle Hendricks, Tyler McGill, Max Fried.
Well, yeah, a lot of this will play into that filth meter, right? Because if you can pound the strike zone and get a significant amount of swings and misses, obviously says something about your stuff, right? And then we could take it another step further, and I think that we probably talk about this too. Is like chase percentage outside the strike zone. It kind of overlaps a little bit. Right. Mm-hmm. If you can get guys to swing and miss at your shit in the zone and do a good job of getting ahead, you're going to have pretty high chase out of the zone also.
Yeah. Cause like in a sense, the hitter is then going to be geared up. Cause it's like, fuck, if it's up, if it just even remotely looks good at any point, like early out of the hand, then then you're going to be more inclined to want to get a piece of it. If it's something you're going to get challenged. I really do very much so. Like, I love that Josiah Gray's in this list, even though he hasn't really mastered anything and he's just come over. He's been traded and kicked around a lot. He's
won, right?
Yeah. No. He's fourth, but he should be considered number one when you think about the fact he only throws his changeup like 3% of the time. He still doesn't have any like real true professional feel compared to some of these other guys on the list. Like, he's still getting up there, but he's just basically,
he's only going to get better.
Fastball. I know, it's fucking awesome. 6'1", 195 pounds too.
Kind of undersized,
And then I guess on the other end, it's interesting. Adam Wainwright is fucking dead last in this category.
Rightfully so, I guess. I mean, shit. It's just amazing he's still even doing it.
Quintana, Corbin, just some other guys that were again, like, it's like if you're in the strike zone, you're getting mixed. Some of these names shouldn't surprise you at all. But like what I really like is just how much the changeup usage you find in guys that can get swing and miss in the strike zone. And again, we talked about it last week with Gossman. So it was cool to go back and pull some of these numbers and see, like, you know, obviously they're different. Corbin Burns, he wants to get contact. It's crazy. It's like sinker, slider, cutter, everything's kind of in the zone. But I mean, there's another one, Alex Manoah. That's a name. A lot of these names are going to be guys that live on the filth meter.
Agreed. You know, Corbin Burns, his ability to throw like at high velocity with something that goes away from you and then comes at you is really impressive. And the guy doesn't walk anybody. I mean, he's just constantly pounding the strike zone. His breaking ball, I'd like to see his grip. Or I'm sorry, his changeup. Because I want to say that, you know, the slider cutter isn't in the zone. You're not going to get quite as many swings and misses. You'll get, I mean, he gets a lot of called strikes because he's pinpoint on the corners with it. But you're right. The changeup in like that nasty split, like the Gossman has, is I would think that where you're going to see more of the swings and misses added inside the strike zone, because it's got much more vertical break than your typical cutter does.
That's a good point. Because the slider then of itself is oftentimes is ending outside of the strike zone that's getting the chase. But
yeah, exactly.
Something to keep our eyes peeled for. And then we talked about a little bit with like Cortez and Verlander. I'm going to come back next week for Saberfuckin Metrics and do some stuff on this pitch FX. You're talking about like tunneling and like kind of get a sense of, do you just have any early indication off the top of your head? Like, who do you think is really good right now? Who do you think is like the best at fucking and making it come out of the same slot?
Well, having a few at bats off Burns, I think he's probably up there. You know, and the guy won the Cy Young last year. His delivery's pretty dialed in, and you can't pick it up. You know, he's throwing 95 plus with cut, and then he's, you know, throwing a bowling ball sinker at you. Can't see it to the very end. So I'm going to say he's probably up there. Scherzer's probably up there. Yeah, you would get guys that would come back to the dugout on Scherzer, and his stuff is elite. No one's questioning that, but guys would say it's nothing. It doesn't appear to be like overly elite. It's just you can't square it up. You know, like he's got ride on his fastball. I mean, he throws hard. He can run it and still run it up there at 96, 97. But guys tend to see it okay. They just can't square it up. So that tells me that it's probably coming out of the same window, and it looks very similar until, you know, you've already made up your mind and it's too late. That's interesting. I'd be interested to see where Bassett is on that, because he's got a kind of an unorthodox, you know, delivery, and I think that he'll change arm angles a little bit and do some different things deceptively. So yeah, I'd be interested to look at a bunch of those guys pitch FX.
All right, I'll do some homework. You know me, I'm gonna do some homework.
Well, I'll do it too. I gotta, yeah. Let's do that.
Tight. Hey, speaking of homework, we did our homework on a big guest here. This is a good friend of yours that's coming up here, Miles Teller. I'm a huge fan of his. I try to keep my fanboy in for this interview. I mean, literally, like, you just put this guy on screen, he just fucking kills. Anybody in Hollywood also says he's like the most talented guy of his generation. Guy plays every instrument. He's nice. He's friendly. Parties. He's handsome. All that shit. So, but a good buddy.
He's a left brain guy.
Who? What?
He's a left brain guy, right?
Yes. Yeah. We talk about that. He's creative. He's like he's a sensitive guy. He wants to be, you know, he wants to do right. He wants to be seen as a guy who's a deep thinker, I sort of say. Maybe not seen as a deep thinker, but he is a deep thinker. And some of this conversation gets pretty deep between you two. Like I said, he's a big Phillies fan. He's a huge baseball guy. Let's get to our first interview in the history of Starting Nine, and let's get to Miles Teller. All right, we're in the interview portion of today's show. We are joined by Miles Teller. Miles, thank you very much for joining us.
You got it. My pleasure.
It's a big moment for us, man. You're our first guest on Starting Nine. Appreciate you giving us the time.
It's all downhill from here.
You're right about that. And not everyone knows this, but Miles was my first match on Grindr.
First and only.
Hey, you're stuck with me now. So tell us, well, I need to know first and foremost, how's Kelly doing?
Kelly's good, man. Thanks for asking. She's because we're like right in the middle of a press tour right now. And so a big component of that for Kelly is, getting the right dress for everything. So she's been kind of doing a bunch of fittings and stuff, and she'll show me like 3 dresses and ask me which one looks the best. And I have, they all look good.
They all look good.
I don't think I'm the best person to ask for that.
Right. But that's what they do. They ask all the time, and I get tired of Brittany asking me that shit, but it makes them feel good. So it's like, you know what? Yeah.
I read something the other day, and it was like, if a woman asks you if you notice anything different about her, then you say, yes, baby. Like I'm constantly amazed at your beauty.
Okay, so
I believe that shit. Hold on a second. If you said that, like, I know you're an actor, you can't deliver that line.
I say, if you do it with sincerity, that I'm honest, I'm always impressed by your beauty.
And that's okay. Okay, that works. I appreciate that.
I just read it on Twitter. I haven't tried it out yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you
try it tonight, Carl.
If we're going to throw tips around, I mean, like, for me, the best one is just like, oh, I love that style. Like, I love that. Cause like, that's something that's always evolving and changing, and they're working on, and they're paying attention to, and then they fucking saw something on Instagram. Like, I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to wear acid wash jeans today. I'm going to be real bold. And like, oh, wow. Are those new jeans? Like, that shit'll fucking, they are new jeans. But then you really got to be paying attention. I mean, I'm not expecting you guys to be fucking, keeping an inventory list on the jeans. I don't know.
I'm dialed in on jeans.
Are you?
Absolutely.
He's a big denim guy.
And I know Jake is dialed in on cutoff shirts, man. Jake and I, when we were up in Philly, and we went, whatever, golfing and this and that. And then he brought me on the field, and we were playing catch, and Jake just crushes a workout, and he's wearing a cutoff tie-dye shirt. And we were just having catch in the outfield. And that was one of the coolest. I think you told me I had pretty good movement.
Well, you're an athlete. You're a well-rounded guy. I mean, you can act, you're musically inclined. Like, what is something that you're not necessarily, in your mind, you're not necessarily great at that you'd like to be good at? Is there anything a skill that you would like to be a little bit better at?
I mean, I'm a decent cook. I think, yes, like skiing.
Yeah.
Skiing, snowboarding, something. Just anything on the mountain. And actually, it's one of the few things that kind of what you're talking about. For most things, I pick up pretty easy, and that's the one thing I'm not very good at, and my buddies love the fact that I just suck.
Well, I've never been skiing either, and playing ball my whole life, I've never been able to.
Right.
So maybe we picked that shit up together.
Right.
Because I'm
yes. What's it been like for you? Just when do you? Obviously, you're still in killer shape, and I know when we were talking last time, the spin rate was still really high, and I'd watch you, and couple tough breaks and some bad innings, but I mean, your stuff still moves so much.
Stuff does, and the velocity was still there. But I told a lot of people that my shoulder just wasn't really moving the way that it used to move. Right. There were periods of time in the game where I knew I was out there and I could not locate what I was about to throw.
Right.
So somewhere in space near release, I just couldn't feel my release point. And that's a bad feeling going out there. And I had a game in San Francisco where I was struggling to get out of the first inning, and I was able to dial in my command and my repertoire and pitch at a really high level for a number of years. And then I got to a point, it was probably sometime in 2019 where I started to feel that way, just disconnected from my delivery and with my shoulder. I've never had a major shoulder injury. I've had 2 bone spur operations, very minor. And for whatever reason, it just just started to happen. Frustrating at first, and then I just figured I would do anything I could to make it work. And unfortunately, I just couldn't pitch the way I was, the way I felt I was capable. Could I have hung on and maybe pitch another year or so? Yeah, but that's not me. I mean, you know me. I'm not gonna hang around to, either be a below average starter or a bullpen guy who's just kind of trying to get some mop up innings. Like I didn't want to go out like that. I didn't want to go out the way I went out either, but everybody's got a time where it comes to an end, and just happened to be my time. So I've come to terms with that, and now I'm doing this, man. And I really couldn't be happier. So,
well, I asked you if you were
what are you gonna do?
And you said to my kids, literally, then I heard
that's it.
I heard you tell that story on, was it Barstool? You're talking about you pegged a couple kids.
Drilled them. I can't throw slow. I cannot throw slow. It's not necessarily that. It's these kids are like 3 foot tall. I got to lob it in there. I got parents in the stands looking at me like, okay, you get 5 pitches. I'm down to the last one. And if I don't throw a strike, the kid has to go back to the dugout. So what the fuck do you want me to do? And I can hear the parents in the stands saying, who is this guy pitching? I'm like, oh, motherfucker, get me out of here. So fortunately, Cooper's he's not a coach pitching anymore.
Come quick for the retired athlete, I guess.
It comes quick, man. Well, hey, you'll be there one day. You'll be throwing to your kids like that. And you'll be nervous as fuck.
Yeah, for sure. But honestly, that's the thing I still to this day, people ask me, they're like, would you trade your career for anything? I'm like, yeah, maybe even like just a utility guy for the Phillies or something. But I mean, that is the thing with acting, is that you don't really retire. You just like either stop getting work, or you get like sick, or you die.
Well,
play like high school. Did you play like high school baseball then? Like you're a big baseball guy?
Yeah. I mean, diehard baseball. I was, I played travel ball, everything year round. I played a lot of sports growing up, but then in baseball in Florida, I play year round, played a bunch of travel ball teams, but I was small, dude. Like I didn't hit my growth spurt till like in between junior and senior year, and then after high school. So I was not, but what's amazing is that even like the best kids in our county, I mean, they were going, JUCO. It just goes to show like, and there's a lot of JUCO is a good way to go, I think, for baseball guys, but it just goes to show you like how good these athletes are. Cause there were kids in my county, they were just absolute studs, and nothing.
Did you ever, did you think about it when you were in high school? Like, okay, this might be it for me. Did you have aspirations of trying to take it to the next level, or going to like a D3, or were you just like, you know what, like I can see the writing on the wall, I'm just going to transition and kind of take this somewhere else?
Yeah. I mean, sports, I always felt like I understood the game kind of better than everybody else on my team. And I was always a really good glove hitting, was pretty good. But yeah, I could dude, I could, when I took that when I played that last game of high school, I was like, this is going to be it. And so I said, instead, I'll go D1 acting. So that's when I went to NYU for acting, but also with like sports and even music, I can play a bunch of instruments and I'm pretty good, but I always had to try really hard to be kind of good. And with acting, it was just something that when I did my first play, it came very naturally to me. And I was like, oh man, without ever really training in it or even putting in all that much effort, I was like, I feel like I'm pretty good at this thing. So then I took that kind of athlete mentality to acting. And I was like, well, if I bust my ass, and my work ethic's always been really solid, I was like, if I put as much time into this as I have with, with sports and other disciplines in my life, I was like, all right, then we can marry that kind of, I think, natural ability with work ethic, because talent has a shelf life, as you know. It's like, if you don't put the work in, somebody's going to pass you.
Well, especially physical talent, like you said, and with what you do, you could technically do that until the day you die, which is great. On the other hand, with what I do, hey, it kind of crept up on me, and my day, I knew my days were numbered. Now I'm done. But
your trophy case is, I mean, because I remember talking to you a little bit about that. It's like you accomplished everything in the game. People still talk about that, those two halves that you put together that are just arguably like the greatest run by any pitcher of any era, arguably.
I would have loved for it to last a little bit longer, but I did have a decent run. I will admit it was pretty good. And frankly, like there's some of it I don't even remember because I was so locked into what I was doing in that particular game. And then on to the next one. Like there would be times where, I'd get a text from you like randomly and you'd be rewatching one of the games and that's one of the things I love about you is that you fucking love the game of baseball. Like dude. you're watching old games. Like you're texting me, hey, like, fuck, like guy on third base, no outs. We gotta get that guy in, or just situational defense stuff. Like you understand the game more than most fans do.
Yeah. I think baseball is just one of those things where it's like, I feel like if your dad loved the game, if your dad taught you the game, then it's in your DNA. I think it's a tough game, or if you played it, but I think it's a tough game, which, for the average fan to watch, I mean, they think it's the most boring sport possible, but then you realize all the things that are going on and, to hit a baseball incredibly hard. But yeah, I just find it so relaxing to watch. But you probably barely even get to watch games, right?
Well, now, I'm watching more than I really ever have. During the season when I'm playing, I didn't watch much because I'm watching my team play that night. I might watch the highlights of games, on SportsCenter quickly, but now I actually get to sit down and watch some baseball. I'm trying to find a way to be able to watch multiple at the same time, which is hard to do. But then, my son Cooper's 10 now, like he loves the game and he's starting to like really dive into the numbers and he helps me with shit right now with what I'm doing. I'm like, Coop, I need you to be like my partner in this shit.
Well, he's our intern. Cooper's basically our first intern. So
yeah, he's working for free. He's not
unpaid. Yeah. Cause I think there are some child labor.
Yeah, well, we're skirting those hard. We're skirting those hard.
He's got plenty of perks.
That don't apply. Yeah.
He's got plenty of perks. He doesn't need a paycheck from Barstool, so he's good. Well, hey, you mentioned.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jake. I hate to
jump in, man.
No, it's like we're not sitting in this.
Hey, dude, you're sitting there with a beef kit in front of you and 3 kegs with Miller Lite stickers on it. You jump in when ready, brother.
Yeah, and just to give a reminder, 901 strand off JP Graziano, tasterealchicago.com. I'll send you one, Miles. I'll send you one of these beef kits.
What is a beef kit?
It's so that you can make Italian beef, which is a Chicago delicacy at any point in time. With all you need is just a chuck roast. Where typically you can't get Italian beef unless you're in Chicago.
Okay.
This is something you put together at home. I'll send you one. You'll like it. I'm curious about like as a baseball fan, like, are you like following this shit on set? Like if you're shooting a movie or something, like and like the Phillies fucking blow a lead or something, are you the type of guy that's like, getting the notification like, God damn it, our bullpen sucks? Or like you kind of more touch and go?
No, as much as I try not to dial in certain, because it is, I have an emotional attachment to it, like I think a lot of fans do. So if I'm filming a particular thing on set that day, like I can't even, I don't want to watch it because it will affect the day. But no, I watch, with that being said too, I watch every game.
And then are there like the way I guess Jake's talking about, like I would imagine is, you're a player, you're coming home, you're like, dude, I played all fucking day, like whatever. I'm not sitting down to watch the Mets play that, Padres. Like, are there as an actor, are you like, when you go see movies, is it to be like entertained, distracted, or are you like a guy who like wants to see somebody in a role and stuff?
For sure. I mean, I get excited. I imagine it's, similar, Jake, and you watch certain pitchers. I'm sure you really love watching him. I know you talked about DeGrom being, the best. Maybe, I don't know if you said the best.
Yeah, well, longevity wise, if he's able to stay healthy, and Colin, hey, I'm fucking back on the Mets side here. If he can stay healthy and sustain health for a long period of time, I think he has the ability to become maybe ever.
Oh, right? Colin, are you a Mets fan?
Big one.
And you just
die hard.
How do we exit his
I'm in control here, Miles, just like the division, baby.
Yeah, Phillies right now, they're playing. I mean, I don't know when this thing is going to air, but this dude Gilbert, like Logan Gilbert for the Mariners, he's like 4-0 with a 1.2 ERA, but
yeah, he's supposed to be throwing. He's throwing tonight for him.
Yeah, they're playing right now.
Well,
but no, but with actors and stuff, absolutely. I think there's actors talk about this, that you kind of steal from the best ones. I wouldn't say I've necessarily like stolen from performances, but it's just exciting, man. I think what's just, you also understand how much work goes into these great performances, or like a movie like Top Gun. I mean, we made that movie for a year, which is so incredibly long, and it was so technical, and you realize how much goes into it. And I think I've become a lot more appreciative. I've never really been like competitive against actors and their careers and stuff, but I think if anything, I just really appreciate longevity at this point. I think when I was younger, I was more critical of maybe some other actors my age and their performances and stuff, which is, I think that's just with youth. But the older I've gotten, I just really appreciate longevity, because I know it's a tough career to kind of hang around, and certainly to be, at the top, which I don't think that I am in any means, but it's just tough, man. It really is. And people sacrifice so much of their personal lives to do it. When you took a look at these performances like Daniel Day-Lewis and, and Christian Bale, Joaquin Phoenix, like they are living that character every day and for so long. And, it's just tough. You sacrifice a lot. You sacrifice your relationship with your family, your wife, your friends. You're just kind of, you're not really fully present, I think, for those people.
Now, when somebody doesn't, like, they take on a role like that, like Joaquin or Christian Bale,
yeah, are they staying away from their family for an extended period of time because they're not able to break character that well? Or do they break character? They don't break character when they're offset? I mean, I don't know those guys personally, but I know just from things Daniel Day-Lewis has said, he's, he thanked his wife in his one Oscar speech, and he basically said she's went to bed with a lot of different men throughout my career. And so, yeah,
that's incredible.
And even, I don't know. Sometimes though it is easier. Like when I kind of first start filming, Kelly won't necessarily be there with me in the beginning, because I don't know. I think in a way, sometimes you do have to kind of manipulate. You want to control as many variables as you can, and I've played, like when I played this one character dealing with PTSD from Thank You for Your Service, I do remember, because there's a certain comfort you have with your wife, right? There's a certain, you get comfortable. And I think for me, whenever I'm too comfortable, even those times in between, like the days of filming, I don't know if it's a good place for me. I think I need to be a little kind of, I need to be out of my comfort zone a little bit.
Well, that makes sense. It seems like it can be hard to turn on and off. Right? Like it's not something easy to do.
I mean, I'm pretty good about, like, I can turn it off when I go home, but I don't know, man. It's just one of those jobs, just like anything. You get out what you put into it. So I think the more time you can really spend trying to figure out who this person is, and then if you want to do a job that person doing, like people talk about, bartending, or for De Niro, with a taxi driver, he was a cab driver in New York for I think a couple months.
Wow.
Which is the wonderful thing I think about this business is you do get to, kind of walk a mile in somebody else's shoes. And that's really what you're trying to do. That's really what you're trying to do, is really shift perspective. That's really what it is.
There's something that Carl and I were really interested about. And it's like the moment you read a script, how do you know from just reading that script that this is something that will work for me and I will be passionate about? Because I know you're very particular about, the movies and the roles that you play.
Mm-hmm.
You're not necessarily always looking for the biggest movie to be a part of. I mean, you've been in some big stuff, but you want to immerse yourself into a role that you feel comfortable in. And so I guess with experience, but how has it changed from when you started acting to where you're at now?
Well, I think when I started acting, I felt like I did kind of have like my first couple of movies that I knew I wanted to do. I always knew that I wanted to, start in hopefully something that was very dramatic and very challenging, which I was able to do with this movie Rabbit Hole. I was like opposite Nicole Kidman. But then I wanted to do comedies and all these things. So I think range was something that was really important to me. But a lot of time, I'll have somebody ask me like, what do I want to do next? And I don't really know until I read it. And so then kind of with talking about that, first, the director is super important. It's the director's medium.
Okay.
And you can make a bad movie out of a good script. You cannot make a good movie out of a bad script. That's a saying. And it is, something like Whiplash, I read that script and I was like, this is probably the greatest thing I've ever read. And if we can just deliver a movie that is as good as what's on the page, then we're in really good shape.
Why though? Like, why when you're reading that? Is it like the vivid descriptions? Is it the characters are coming through? Or you're like,
it's just
I see myself as this drummer.
It's just the story. Like, imagine. Well, drumming was something I always like. I drummed in some rock bands when I was in high school. I certainly never played jazz. I never had a percussion instrument or anything. But it's like, I don't know if you guys saw the movie, but when that movie ends, people are just. I've never seen a reaction like that the first time, people saw it. And so you're getting that experience reading it. But I think, I guess one of the biggest things I look for is like the stakes of a project, because you can read a lot of scripts and it's like, even if we do the best version of this, I think it's still just like it's an okay movie. It's like a 6 out of 10. And so I try and find stuff where I feel like the potential for a great project is there. And then it's just a matter of, kind of all the different people, being able to deliver.
Man, the solo in Whiplash was legendary. And when you mouthed "fuck you" to Simmons, and then he came over there and said he's going to gouge your fucking eyes out. That's phenomenal shit.
Kelly,
that was a great movie.
Kelly, my wife, she'll still say things to me. She'll ask me to do something. I'm like, what? She's like, for the last father fucking time, you grab me. No. She's a sweetheart. She just loves quoting. She loves quoting J.K. Simmons to me.
So kind of going off of that was a very physically demanding role for you to play in, at least all the drumming, correct? So what was the most physically demanding role that you played in? I had 3 that, I think you might even have one to add, but Bleed for This, Whiplash, and Top Gun 2. Is there another one?
No, I mean,
more.
Those are it. We did thank you for your service and for Only the Brave. We did some pretty intense boot camps for thank you for your service. We had some Navy SEAL instructors, and they basically said they ran us through like a mini buds. So that was tough. They're hosing us down in like 30-degree weather in Atlanta, and just like that sucked. That sucked. But bleed for this really intense. I never played a boxer before. It was like 7 months of training. I got down to like 6.5% body fat, and then I was just boxing all the freaking time. Yeah, that was tough, man. I got 168. I mean, I sit around like 188. So
yeah, and you were I remember you texted me. You were almost close to 200 pounds at one point.
Yeah. Well, I was probably having a couple of cocktails or something.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm very good at getting out of shape too. That's something I've realized.
But is that hard when you're making a commitment to a project where you're like, all right, I know I got to lose weight for this, or like you still in the mode where you're like,
no, I love that, dude. Honestly, I love that stuff. I think if there's a physical component to the character, I love it. And I think and also, man, they give you a trainer, they give you a nutritionist and all this stuff. So all you have to do is just show up. And if you're not able to get there with all the help the movie's giving you, then you're just an asshole, or you're just lazy.
What about steroids?
What about them?
What about them? You tell me. I mean, is Hollywood other guys like
you
look at a guy and like, well, this guy got the role because of that guy's fucking, biogenesis.
I mean, I think a lot of the guys in this business who are very strong looking, I think they're getting the job for, a lot of other reasons. But look, they don't test for steroids.
and they shouldn't. They shouldn't.
They shouldn't.
No, they shouldn't.
Come on, dude.
We
shouldn't be testing steroids, period, in anything. It should just be like, if you want to take them, go ahead.
I think one of the dumbest things is like my buddy, he's SEAL Team 6, and I just think it's crazy that, I mean, when they're going through buds and stuff, they can't even bring in their own vitamins because they've had people, I guess if there's a death or something, then they check them for whatever. They have to control the vitamins. Do you hear that plane?
Yeah.
What kind of plane is that from your Top Gun experience? Was that F-16? Do you know, the 737?
Commercial airliner.
Nice.
That's just from my experience living near the airport, though.
Mm-hmm. But hey, you're right. They should let guys in the military take what you need to perform at your peak.
It's not a sport, man. It's war. It's life or death. Even things like that have been proven. Like small amounts of HGH, right? Like for recovery, all these things, those are the guys that should absolutely, I don't know. I thought that was silly.
I agree with you on that. As long as, if it's not detrimental to your health, why wouldn't you open it up for guys to take?
I know.
Right.
And then just with the training with Top Gun, that was really intense. We had 3 months of flight training before, bunch of different airplanes, and just building up our G tolerance. But, flying with F-18 pilots every day, you're going, you're pulling 7.5 Gs, you're going 480 knots, 100 feet off the water into a canyon. The walls are less than 100 feet off each wingtip, and you're just ripping, dude. And that was, people were puking every day. I don't know if Jake, have you ever went up?
Well, you text me, and I think I believe it was still during the season. You wanted me to come out and do some of that flight training with you.
Yeah.
If I could have made it, I'd have fucking been there in a heartbeat, but no, I haven't. I had one other opportunity, in spring training at one point, wasn't able to make it, but I can't imagine what that's like.
It's my dog's trying to get outside, but we just fertilized the yard, so I can't let her out.
No, you can't. Well, hey, look, I've been wanting to ask you this for a while. have you been approached or read any scripts for baseball movies? And if you haven't, man, you got to do a baseball movie.
I know, dude. I feel so.
And I need to be in it with you.
Yeah, can we see
just a little part.
100%. You're available now.
He's part of the SAG. We got a Screen Actors Guild guy here. So
yeah.
Oh, nice.
I was in Veep. Yeah, in Chicago Fire. But yeah, tell me about that. If you've read any scripts, or what are your thoughts on that?
I have. So I actually optioned this book. It's called Cactus League, and it was this woman's. This woman wrote this novel. It's about spring training, in the Cactus League over there in Arizona. And we're going to. I got my buddy James Ponzel to write and direct it. James and I worked on this movie Spectacular Now together a couple of years ago. He's a baseball guy. I think he's an exceptional filmmaker, and so we're gonna make a limited series out of it. We have a deal done, but we haven't announced it yet. But so that is something that's that's happening.
Well, sick. So you just announced.
We just break this news.
I hope not. I don't know. Maybe. I think it's fine. It should come out. Hey, I'm happy to break it with you boys.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, appreciate that. What about Project X, when you played yourself and you were the USC second baseman? Was that something they gave you creative reign to play up as like a baseball guy in that, or were they like, hey, we know you like baseball, or what's up with that?
No, the story with that is they wanted me. When I read this script, they had me as a USC football player, and I was like, guys, I know maybe I'm big for actors, but this is just not believable at all. So I said, I'll do you a favor, make me a baseball player. But my name in that movie, originally my name was supposed to be like Miles Sweeney, I think. And then Miles Sweeney just happened to be a kid who actually like went to high school around there. So we couldn't use that. And then Todd Phillips asked me if they could use my real name. And I said, absolutely. Because that's what Will Smith said about, with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
He's like, because a lot of time people just call you by your character's name. So if his name's, actually Will, that people are able to, get to know him.
Super underrated movie. It's my obligation to tell you that. Just super.
Yeah, Jake, I played baseball in that, man. I hit a long number.
Look, I missed it. That's on me. Okay, fuck. Hey, thanks for bringing that up, Carl.
But it's not. It's not a baseball. No. We need a baseball movie where it's like the boys
a real
in the
baseball
traveling
movie.
on the bus, doing weird dumb shit.
Just all that. Look, I got one of my favorite parts of the year is spring training, and I know it is yours. I wanted to ask you this before. Your pops started taking you to spring training when you were a little kid, right? Yes. Is that? I would assume that that's kind of where your love of the game kind of started, right? And also, is Darren Daulton your favorite player of all time?
Darren Daulton's my favorite player all time. That's why I wore number 10 forever.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Daulton, and then Roland. I was a big Roland guy when he was with the Phillies. Just having and just Phillies having another great Phillies third baseman was, was just awesome. And he always signed autographs for me too, man. Even he just would always sign and J-roll. But I mean, when I was up in Jersey, we used to go to the vet a lot. And that was kind of when I first started going. But yeah, spring training, it's just the best. And the Phillies Park with the tiki bar out there. I just went back this last year. It was just hanging out, man. It's just, I gotta imagine you miss it.
Look, I do, but not as much as you think, and it's, look, I knew my time was coming. That's the only reason. And I got two young kids that I'm happy as hell to be spending more time with. Yeah. Like if the game was taken away from me on other terms, then maybe so. Yeah. But I've been prepared to kind of move on and do something like this. I wish I was talented enough to do what you do, but it's just,
I gotta watch the Chicago Fire tape, man. You might.
I had one line.
There might be some talent in there that we can.
There's not.
Still more juice.
No. I mean, Jake profiles well. He's handsome. I feel like there's got to be a market for, you profile well as
what,
like
handsome guys that can't act.
Yeah, I mean, like just put his shoulders in the background.
There's a lot of them.
I mean, if there's a gym scene where I don't have to say anything, then yeah, and throw me in. But other than that,
cast me right now, Miles. Cast me for something.
Cast you for something?
Yeah. What do you think?
I'll
take my hat off. What do you think? Just like what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, as with acting, you really just want to hold a mirror up to society, and there's people that look like you.
Oh man, that's tough, dude. That's fucking
that's
tough.
so
you know
fucking
what? No,
good.
You know what though? Like not everybody, like you have hair. You didn't do shit for your hair, by the way, buddy. So if you're walking around like I'm having a good hair day, a bad hair day, whatever, like that, nothing that's like height. You're either short, you're tall, you got good hair, you got bad hair. So if you have false confidence around your hair, that's just a fucking gift from God. But everything else, I'm fine. I could play the piano. We could do fun. You and I could do a little duet. We're okay.
Oh, dude, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can play.
Now,
Carl,
why did
you can play
shave
piano?
the mustache? Oh yeah, I play a lot of piano. I play a lot.
I play a lot of piano.
A lot. Oh, a lot. No. Yeah. I mean, I play, like a little bit, little sing-alongs. I'm not picking up like the drum kit tomorrow, and I'm certainly not playing the guitar around a campfire singing fucking Kumbaya with the girls. But that's just me.
But Jake, what is Jake? But I just meant, I know you don't miss the game, but I'm just saying, like,
well, it's not that. It's not that. I know. What I do, okay. Let me get into that a little bit more. What I miss the most is like after spring day was over, having 20 of the dudes at my house.
Yeah.
Hanging out with them and bringing their girlfriends or their wives over, or their kids, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I miss that. I miss that a lot. I miss team dinners. I miss team flights. I miss, getting on the mic on the bus and talking shit to the guys and, little stuff like that, or showing guys around cities that don't, that just got to the big leagues. Hey, what do we do in Baltimore or Toronto? Okay, well, here, you can go. You can eat here. There's golf. There's this. That's the shit I miss. Playing the game for 12 seasons was amazing, but I really don't miss that all that much. I like watching it now. I love watching it. I love watching my son play, but yeah, those things that's really what I miss.
Well, I think you told me too, you would always have wherever you guys are staying, you would have a suite and you would have, bucket, like 50 Coronas, whoever wanted to, come up after the game and have a soda.
Yeah, you just sitting around bullshitting, right? And I like to extend that invitation to guys rather than them going out and doing something stupid. Right? You want to come get fucked up in my room? I'm with you. Like I'll drink 12 beers with you, but don't leave the hotel and do something stupid you'll regret tomorrow.
But also, I feel like that's because you always had a bit of that kind of old school mentality about you, and I think with some of the, the younger guys, they put so much pressure like on themselves and their career, and everything's like analytics and this and that. And, the old school guys, they would, go out, have a couple drinks after the game or this and that. And I just think there was a looseness maybe. And maybe, even in my career, I think the more you do it, you get a little looser, but there's some with that with baseball too. There's kind of guys that just feel like old school guys. And I think that's something that you always had.
Yeah, I kind of prided myself on that and taking care of the younger guys. Cause I remember when I got to the big leagues, how difficult it was just to fit into that room, and I've told the story before, like when Chris Bryant came up, whether it was Schwarber, Addison Russell, Javi Baez, whoever it is, like I need those guys to feel as comfortable as possible when they get here so we can win games like immediately. So that's kind of the way I approached it. I always wanted to get to know my teammates personally as well as I could, create that relationship, make them comfortable. And, cause like when you leave the game, it's like, what do you miss the most? And it's like, yeah, baseball is great, but what relationships did you develop while you played?
Right. Yeah.
Like if you just leave the game with some hardware and no relationships, no friends, then I think that's kind of a sad way to go about it. So, yeah, man, I built some great relationships, was able to meet people like yourself, and I'll have, a lot of lifelong friends because of, what I was able to do in baseball. So
I
pretty
think
damn cool.
I think that's what life's about anyway. Honestly, is relationships. I think that's when people go to their, on their deathbed and it's not. I really think that's what you're thinking about. You're not thinking about your job, your career, certainly not possessions, none of that shit. You've never seen a U-Haul following a hearse, but to me, that is the thing, especially when you, man, like my buddy's an astronaut. He talks about, there's guys that have went to go on their first spacewalk. And I'm like, what is that like when you're looking down at Earth and everything we know is just a marble and you can see it. Mm-hmm. And he said that changes people forever, just feeling, how small we are. But to those people that you have in your life, I mean, that's everything. So I've always felt like that. My relationship with my friends out and showing up and, being a son and, now a husband and all that stuff when I'm working the relationship with the people like that is really everything for me is, like you talk about building those relationships.
100%. And Colin, you'll like this. So Buck Showalter, probably my, arguably my favorite manager of all time. I had him when I was a young player. He always had these little tidbits of information that it was more like life lessons and how to view the world and the situation we're in. And, he would say, who in your life or who can you think of like in your circle that would give the eulogy at your funeral and what would they say about you in your life? Like, and I think about that all the time, right? Like what's somebody going to say about you like when you're gone? And for me, like we've just discussed, it's about those relationships that you build over time and you kind of nurture those relationships. And that's, like I said, that little speck, the little dot that could just be kind of kicked out of the universe. Very, very meaningless. But while we're here, these people that we have in our lives, very, very important to us.
And everybody thinks their life is so important, as they should. But what I tell people, I'm like, when it's all done and, human civilization is wiped out or whatever it is, or it just that lights off, the time that we're here is a sliver. It is a sliver. I'm born in 87, I'll die in whatever. That little bit on my tombstone, it's a sliver. It's infinitesimal. It really is. It's a blip on the screen, man. And so I think it's
humbling to think about, isn't it? And we got pretty deep in that, but I'm glad we did.
Yeah, you guys, that was, they say on that note that if human history was a 24-hour day, or if the history of the world was a 24-hour day, the time human beings have inhabited it the way we know would be like the last 3 seconds of the day.
Yeah, something like that. I've heard something similar. I don't know if you fucked it up or not, but I'm with you. I'm with you. Oh, I don't know how much time you got, man. I could talk to you forever. I appreciate you being with us really as our first guest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great seeing you. I hope to see you soon. I wish you the best. I missed you and Kelly, and I can't wait to see fucking Top Gun 2, man.
Oh my
May 24th, is that right?
So good, dude. And Philly's doing a Top Gun theme night, and I'm getting my own bobblehead, which is pretty sweet.
Well, what day is that? Because I might try and get up there.
June 1st.
I might be able to make that work.
What teams do you, are you watching players, like you're watching starting pitchers, or are you always going to follow the Cubbies and, the Phillies, or do you just watch players?
Just kind of keeping our pulse on the entire game.
Yeah.
Not anything, anything specific, just everything.
Do you think the Phillies turn it around? Because when you talk about Philly having a 10-year playoff drought, and they have it on paper, right? But that doesn't always. They're up.
Well, what did we talk about at the start before the season started? Right? You texted me about Schwarber, and I told you that you couldn't have signed a better guy.
Tank with ears.
Couldn't have signed a better guy.
Yeah.
Right. If you like a leadoff hitter that could hit you 40 homers, great in the clubhouse, good with young players.
Castellanos is a stud. He kind of reminds me.
He is a stud. He is a stud. I mean, and look, Carl, you can chime in too.
I mean, Castellanos is a great player. We'll just start there. And
hold on. So, the fifth in average, 7th in home runs, 5th in RBIs, 8th in on base percentage, 2nd in slugging. I mean, their ERA, 21st in ERA, but it's at a 3.92. It's not. It is 21st. It's not terrible.
Right.
What do you got though? I mean, you got.
They're weak. Hold on, they're weak. They're a weak team. They got a big lineup. They're a softball team. They're an intramural softball team. And where I think where they struggle early with the dead balls, if they go back and it gets a little bit more explosive and the starting pitching can kind of get hot a little bit, their lineup can thump. I mean, if you're a Phillies fan, like you get to show up to the ballpark being like, maybe we score 7-8 runs, and there's some bad, sweet dudes on that team. But at the end of the day, if you're going to be in the bottom third of the league in pitching, you're not going to do shit. Like it's just going to be a miserable experience.
Well, Nola hasn't been great, right? Like Nola is he's an ace, and I saw him at his best. And Nola is one of my favorite guys out there. One of the most consistent dudes you can count on, right, to show up and prepare and be ready to go. I think he's hovering around a 4.
Suarez just had a hell of a game.
Well, Suarez, yeah. But it's time for a couple of those guys to like really step up. Yeah. Suarez needs to step up. I mean, Gibson's throwing the ball well, right?
Yeah,
I think he went 6 or 7.
Yeah, he's great right now.
6 or 7 innings the last time out. Right. But there's not really a dominant guy currently at the top of that rotation.
Wheeler.
I mean, okay. Sorry, I forgot. He's dominant. Yes.
He's about as dominant as a guy last year.
Wheeler's nasty. That's my mistake for leaving him out. But
Colin, is Wheeler nasty?
Fuck yeah, Wheeler's nasty.
Yeah, he earned it back. No. He earned it back. Brody, back when he was at the Mets, threw a lot of shade at him and said that we parlayed, like half a season into a major contract. But he's shown to be that pitcher, so he deserves it.
He's
a guy for the Mets that I like watching, and I would love if he was a Philly, would be Brandon Nimmo. I think I just love the way he plays the game, man.
He's just a pest. Like he's just always, he's always on
those
base.
guys don't strike out. McNeil doesn't strike out. Like the Philly, so many guys strike out, and it's just like because everyone falls in love with the long ball. Now the long ball, it's like the dead ball or whatever, but just put the ball in play. Put the ball in play. He starts every game with like 10 pitch at bats too. And then he runs down to first every walk.
Yeah. Well, you're right about that. I mean, the Phillies do have a bunch of guys with a lot of swing and miss. And yeah, I mean, you're going to hit some homers, but you have to work at bats. You have to get more guys on base, and having Nimmo and McNeil do that kind of shit. Those are like, they look like guys from the 80s. And I love that. Right. Like, I think it was McNeil as a few nights ago. He's got 1 strike on him. They're giving him the line. I think they might be down 1, and he's trying to show bunt. It's like, well, people are getting all up in arms about like, why is he doing that? They need base runners.
Yeah.
Right. It takes 90 feet off of your distance to score. Like you need fucking base runners. You can't always bank on a guy hitting a ball off the wall or over the fence.
Also, they shift on McNeil, which he loves because he has no problem going the other way too.
Yeah. And he's also, he chokes up with 2 strikes, or I mean, sometimes without 2 strikes.
How's Girardi?
How's Girardi? You asking me?
No, I'm asking Miles. Like, are you guys happy with him?
I like Girardi. Yeah.
I love Girardi. I think manager, a lot of it comes down to managing the bullpen, right? I mean, you're setting the lineup and stuff, and the guys got to perform. But I think that's a big part of it. Jake, am I wrong?
No, a really good manager has to manage the bullpen, and I mean, Kapler would tell you this. as much as anybody. He struggled with that his first year with us in Philly, but look at him now. I mean, I think he's one of the best managers in baseball.
Yeah.
But you're right about that. If you can't manage your bullpen, then you're going to struggle. And I mean, Philly they've got a damn good bullpen.
Well, we've got guys that,
I mean, arm wise, I mean, I'm not
Sir Anthony back, Familia is, it's kind of doing his thing. Knable has been really good. He blew his first save the other night. I think where Philly's kind of struggling right now is I don't know how much we invested in, because I think the Phillies saw, and we will be right. You need guys that can hold leads, but also we bring in a lot of guys when we're down like 2 runs that need to kind of hold. And then we've tended to that 2-run
turns into 4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about 6 runs? 7 runs.
I was flying down to Mexico City when we left. We were up. I'm pumped because it's the Mets. They're dealing, and then I'm watching the 9th inning on my phone. When I got in the elevator, I'm just like, oh my God. And I have all these people around me. It's like, what happened? I'm just like, oh my fucking God. And then I couldn't believe it. It's never happened. It's like, or it hasn't. Teams are like 625-0.
Yeah. Now 1.
Jake, what compares, I guess, accomplishment-wise pitching? Is it like striking out the side? Is it a complete game to hitting a home run? Because that just, I know I've
like for me as a pitcher,
I've done
like
you can go a yard.
Not striking out the side. No. I mean, probably a complete game. That's a good comparison because, yeah, I mean, I can hit the ball a long way, but squaring it up against another major league pitcher is a completely different story. Fortunately, I was able to, do it 7 or 8 times, whatever it was. I got one off Greinke in spring training too, but you can't necessarily count that one. But yeah, it's unreal. I had one in 2000. I think it was 2015. My first at bat of the season, I had a home run off Shelby Miller in Arizona.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and we had a watch bet with the starting pitchers. Everybody threw in $5,000. I hit a home run, and Lester
what's a watch bet?
So a watch bet. Sorry. So every starter threw in like $5,000.
Are you saying right now that you bet on baseball while you were playing?
No, listen. So whoever hit the first homer got the other guys bought him a watch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Banned for life.
Yeah, banned for. Well, fuck it. What are you gonna do now?
And you also told me talk about facing other pitchers, which Max Fried will now go down as the last pitcher to win the Silver Slugger. That was a little Tim Perchin fun bit, but
that's like being the tallest midget,
You told me Severino had the best fastball you had ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, at the time he was like 99 to 101, 102, and I faced him when they came to Philly. It looked the hardest visually. Like I don't know how anybody hits it. Right.
Yeah. It's got to pump you up though for your stuff too. When you get up in the box against some of these guys, you're like, damn, these hitters are really good because this is coming in and it's
moving. In the perspective too. When you're standing in the box, the mound looks a lot closer than it does when you're on the mound. And just realizing how little time you have to react. And if you can throw multiple pitches for strikes and move the ball around, hitting becomes virtually impossible, right? I mean, yes, there's some guys that can do it at a high level, but even then, right? If you can, like I said, spin the ball, change speeds, elevate, move it around, you can get just about anybody out more times than not. So I started to realize that, about the time that I got over to Chicago, and things turned around for me. I mean, it just took a few at bats standing there like, oh, fuck. Okay. This is not easy. I don't know if I told you, Colin, you might like this story. So it was when Syndergaard and DeGrom, obviously were both in New York. They come to Wrigley. They're running polls. I go out there just to kind of say what's up to them. And I was starting the next day and Syndergaard was pitching the next day. And I go, hey, boys, when we face each other, nobody on base, let's throw each other all heaters. And they looked at me like, are you serious? I'm like, of course I'm serious. Nobody on base. I'll throw you all fastballs. You got to throw me all fastballs. So next day, I don't remember which at bat it was. You'd have to look it up. But I hit a double off center guard. He honored it. Hit a double off center guard. It might have been the next inning. He almost hit a homer off me. But I think it was caught at the warning track. So one of those like little gentleman bets, and that's the kind of shit that I'm gonna miss too. You know, not getting to see pitchers hit, even though most are trash. It's better that there are DHs in both leagues. But you know, that little kind of game we played, and no one really knew what was going on, but it was fun, man. That was pretty cool.
And who did you say are the legitimate tough guys in the league? You put yourself at the top of the list when you told me.
I didn't say the top. Well, I set him up there. I said, well, Tommy Hunter's up there. Tommy Hunter, who is with the Mets now, Colin.
He's still going.
He's still going. Yeah, he signed with the Mets. Shout out to Tommy Hunter. I need to text him and check on him. I mean, you got to put Judge up there. I would assume that you got to put Stanton on that list. Carl, who do you got? Potential tough guys.
I mean, it's honestly, it's tough because, to be honest, and not to offend the guys, but like a lot of them are fucking soft, right? A lot of the young guys I don't know very well. So I mean, the craziest the toughest guy is Yasiel Puig. Yasiel Puig fought. I mean, he's playing in Korea right now, but Yasiel Puig fought an entire team. No.
Fight the team, or did he?
No. You know what? I fucked up. No. Don't do this to me. I fucked up. It's not Puig.
Who is it then?
It's fucking. All right. How about this? I don't think
Wilson Contreras. Contreras.
How about? Could you do me a favor and just talk about Amir Garrett for a second? Because he seems like he's got like just complete. He's loose.
You got to put him on the list.
Okay, good.
You got to put him on the list. Okay.
What about
you
Chappie?
also
Madison Bumgarner.
Chapman. Bumgarner's on the list. Wilson Contreras. I mean, we call them killer in Chicago. Like he's borderline crazy.
I think
he'll snap.
Joe Kelly's not on your list.
Not soft.
Well, I mean, look, no disrespect to Joe Kelly, but I don't think anybody's scared of him without a baseball in his hand.
Okay. What'd you say, Miles? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, I think catchers, that's every kid I growing up playing baseball with, the catchers were always a little, they seemed a little different.
They're loose cannons.
They just love
Wilson is
like just dirty, just tough, grinding, like, yeah.
Yeah, but hey, good call on Amir Garrett. Good call on Bumgarner. Tommy Hunter, man. He's like a judo champion.
Is he?
He's a judo champion. Yeah. And he's quick as fuck for a big guy.
There's so much pushing and shoving. You know, there's so much pushing and shoving, but like if there was a way where you could actually get baseball players to fight each other like one-on-one.
One-on-one is the way you have to do it, like hockey. It's embraced in hockey. When you got 15 guys flying in from both sides,
yeah,
you know, and guys are wearing spikes, somebody goes down, someone gets stepped on, someone gets kicked in the face, someone tears a hamstring. Michael Morse and Jeff Samardzija like hit heads, and I believe that ended Morse's career. It's dangerous. So
Robin Ventura, that was one-on-one.
That was a good one. Yeah.
Dude, I saw this video the other day. Reggie Jackson hits a home run.
Oh, I saw it too.
In Yankee Stadium, and him and the pitcher like chirping at each other a little bit. Reggie touches home plate and then immediately fucking charges the mound and like beats the shit out, like tackles him, beats the shit out of him. And like in old Yankee Stadium, I was like, I mean, Reggie's one of my dad's favorite players, and it's like I get it. You don't really get a sense of these guys if they're not a part of your generation. But yeah, that's all.
Did you see him get carried off the field by 2 or 3 of his teammates too? Did you see that part?
Yeah,
that shit is hilarious. I mean, those were gangsters back then. They didn't give a fuck. And you saw the one, I think it was a decade or so before that, where the dude got drilled or the guy threw at him, and then it was a lefty. He did put down a drag bunt, and ran down the line and like forearm checked the pitcher as he was fielding the ball. And then both teams just fucking go at it. I'm not saying that kind of stuff should happen in the game all the time, but you know, a little scrap between two guys.
Well, the
clubhouse isn't a bad thing.
If you want to fight somebody on your own team, the clubhouse is probably where you can.
Well, that doesn't. I've seen guys. I've seen a couple fights in the minor leagues. I've never seen a fist fight in a big league clubhouse. Okay. And honestly, most guys wouldn't even let it get to that point. If anybody's around, you got to be smart about that. Like if one guy gets hurt, he's one of your guys. You can't be missing one of your best players from your lineup. So you tend to
punch with your throwing hand.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a bad deal if you're trying to fist fight one of your teammates. You know what I'm saying?
Well, how about Devin Williams last year for the Brewers, man? One of their best relievers, and broke his hand punching. He like punched a wall.
Punched a wall. Yeah, that's happened before.
Chase Utley is a guy I should have brought up as far as like a tough guy. Was that your favorite player when they were fucking hot and running through, like Ryan Howard, Rollins, Utley? I feel like those were you had some really good like players to love, like and Pat Burrell, and so like Ruiz. All those guys were really lovable players.
Yeah, super fun team, man. J-Roll, I remember going to spring training when I was super young and he was like a rookie. I think that was maybe like 98 or when was trying to think of his rookie year, but yeah, I mean, those guys were so fun. Chase, I think everybody would love Chase Utley if he was on your team. And also Ryan Howard, I tell people, I'm like, he had a 5-year run where he averaged, I think 47 home runs and like 147 ribbies. His 5-year run, rookie of the year, first year, and then MVP second year. And he was just an absolute,
he was a unit.
He's a beast, man. I mean, with that team, and I was up there pretty much for every playoff series that run, and now it's been a 10-year drought. And even before that Philly team, it was like Travis Lee, Rico Bronya, Bobby Abreu was a guy who he was always a stud for us. But yeah, there was some tough years for sure.
Frustrating part about Bobby Abreu, man. So he obviously very talented, great hitter. You knew he was taking first pitch I think it was like 98% of the time he's taking first pitch. And he loved to hit with 1 strike, with 2 strikes. Very, very tough out. But imagine like if a guy's taking basically 100% of the time, and you throw ball 1. Mm-hmm. Right? It's fucking brutal. Hey, I don't know if I mentioned, I think I did at the start, but would you love me more if I pitched better for your Phillies? A little bit? Because we had an opportunity to fucking make the postseason, man. And I'm not saying it was all on me, but I think my first 2 years there, we were in first place, like for quite a while.
The Phillies the last couple of years have been in first place in August. Maybe even September, actually. The last couple of years had the division lead. But no, Jake, it wouldn't make me like you anymore. It would have been awesome to have a buddy, just being able to watch you in those. But I remember because I think the game I was at when we were hanging, I think you could only pitch like it was like 4 innings or twice through the line or something like that, or 5 innings maybe, and then your arm it would just go. It would just go around like the 4th or the 5th, right?
Yeah, that was right before I had the second bone spur taken out.
I think that was the Yankees.
It's all good. Yeah, that's right.
You guys remain friends nonetheless. I mean, it's a great story. I'm actually, when you guys are probably out partying the first time you guys hang out, like Miles, you had to be talking shit to Jake because you bring it up earlier. He has this, like, to his name, one of the great stretches of all time, and the Cubs go 29-1 over a 30 start stretch for him, and the only game they lost was what?
When the lost to a no hitter, right?
Yeah, Cole Hamels.
Oh, Odubel almost fucking dropped it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, that's a pretty cool stat too. Only lost me in a no-hitter.
No, that run was really impressive. But no, I mean, Jake and I, we had a lot of fun, man. It's nice being a starting pitcher because it's like you pitch and then you have some off time.
Play golf.
Yeah, play golf. Yeah.
We got quite a few rounds in.
I know, that's what I'm bummed about. I'm more bummed that you were my guy on the Phillies. So I knew if I was going.
Well, we still do that.
No, for sure. But I'm saying now when I know some of the guys on the Phillies, but when I would go to a game with you, it's like you would just bring me on the field and I'd take BP, I'd hit with the with the pitchers or whatever, and we're playing catch in the outfield. And now I got to figure out who's gonna bring me out there.
Tex Hoskins. Tex Hoskins or JT or.
I know, but I do think, you need like a veteran.
Well, they are now.
Hey,
I got
there. Then, if you're a veteran on the Phillies, Miles Teller's looking to get in touch with you about batting practice. So,
yeah, I'll be there for that whole series against the Giants.
Bobblehead day.
I can't wait to see the bobblehead.
It's pretty sweet.
Well, hey, I got one more thing I got to ask you.
Okay.
Was Kelly mad at me after we played golf at Lakeside? Because she asked me, she's like, "Hey, what'd you do to Miles?" She mad at me for that? Genuinely, or no? She's just fucking around.
No, she probably just messing around.
What I'm talking about.
Well, that's every time I golf with you, that's kind of the condition that she's left with. Dude, I'll go with Jake. Golf with Jake. He gets it's like a triple grapefruit or triple tequila, splash of grapefruit. He takes a sip and he goes, "That's delicious. I'll have another one." And it's like, it's that freaking circuit the whole time. And I feel like I have pretty good tolerance and pretty good pace and this and that. But yeah, Jake's got another gas tank.
He's an intense guy, but Jake doesn't drink a lot. So if you get those 6 shots of tequila will hit quite hard. Say that.
You don't know what you're talking about, Carl.
All right. You know
what?
We'll find out. We're going to do some golf. We're going to invite you out, Miles. We got a video series coming in the off season. Find a partner. Jake and I are officially challenging you and a partner.
Jake, you need to play in the Tahoe tournament, man. The American Century Championship. It's so much fun, dude.
Well, get me in it.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Cool.
Let's rent a house.
It's awesome, man. Everybody on the boats on the lake, and it just feels like America. I don't know. Everyone's just having a blast.
I haven't even been in Tahoe yet, but I've heard from everybody that it's one of the best tournaments out there.
Oh, dude, it's so fun. And
if I get a spot, I'm down.
Yeah, and it's stable for formats, so it's worst you get is a double bogey, just pick up. But I mean, certain guys are trying to win it. Other guys, you're just out there having fun.
All right, we'll close out here. Hey, Miles, thanks so much for jumping on the show, man. Honestly, thanks for your time. You're our first guest, and we look forward to having you back on the program at a later date. Good luck to your Phillies.
You got it. Thanks, man. Jake, always good seeing you, buddy.
Thanks a lot, dude. So that's Miles Teller, and that's also the first time we've broken entertainment news on that. Good job there, Jake. Way to get that out of him.
Yeah, I did my best. He can be tight-lipped about certain things, but once you get him going, you can just pull it out of him.
You would do the movie with him, right?
I would like to. And like we've talked about, I'd like to see, just watch him work and do his thing. And those eyes, man, those eyes that he'll give you, all the pictures we've taken, he's just got this. He's got this look. I'm like, dude, don't look at my wife like that. I can't have you around her looking like that.
Yeah, you're right. It's good look.
I know. It's rough. It's rough.
I was trying to angle my way in, and he was like, "Oh, I would cast you to be like a third base coach." When I was like, "Yo, what do you cast me as?" He's no. I'm gonna be the fucking, be like driving a garbage truck or something. But whatever.
I think you can handle. You can handle a few lines. You could handle it 100%.
Yeah. Did you get? I got a sense he was a little nervous. He didn't want me on screen with him because, well, if I share a screen with Carl, ooh, that's tough. I mean, people might be talking about me. So.
Bullshit.
Yeah, that was a ridiculous statement that I just said. But that's Miles Teller. We're gonna have more guests on, obviously in the future, and we're interested to feedback if there's somebody blah 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 blah. There's a great segment I want to do though. We're crescendoing here. It's called Starting Nine. We've talked about name change of the podcast, whether or not that where that lies in the future. But I think it's important to at least give some starting nine. As long as we have the show, we want to do a starting nine segment. And I asked us to kind of put something together, a 1 through 9 lineup card based on a certain topic. Jake, you came right away. You were like, I'm very passionate about how good baseball players look in their uniform. It's part of like an obligation, a professional responsibility for baseball players to look the part, to look good in a uniform. Baseball uniforms are awkward. I think they're kind of difficult to wear at some respects. So we're going to put together a 1 through 9, our starting lineup of guys we think look really fucking good in the uniform, not just active players, but just kind of going through our lifetime. You want to dip into the 60s, go fucking nuts. I really can't speak to that, but I've got a 1 through 9 predominantly from 2000 and later. Jake, you prepared a 1 through 9. We also asked Colin to prepare a 1 through 9. We're going to go through at the end, but I figured this would be a great exercise for us to kind of get a feel for our nostalgia and kind of where our brains and hearts lie with the game of baseball.
I like this, and I actually stayed with current players. I know you might have gone a different route, but I stuck with current players. You could go so many different ways with this. And yes, I think most guys take a tremendous amount of pride in the way they look in their uniform, right? Guys with nice long legs, fat ass, big chest, right? Biceps. You want to put it on display. So you want me to run through mine first, or you want?
Well, I think we should. I think you and I should.
Me to go one, you go one.
Yeah, I think we go position by position, and then we'll get some commentary from Colin on our lineup. So Colin, keep track of our 1 through 9s if you don't mind while we're going through this. And then
start behind the dish.
Yeah, we'd like your professional opinion, and then we'll go through your 1 through 9. But no, you're the pitcher. Start with your pitcher. Start with your 1. Who's your 1?
All right. I'm going to go with Verlander, and this is mainly because of the pants. I love the tight pants around the ankle. See the calves, see the quads, thighs, in the ass. I like that. And if you look at a still picture of him in his power position, right, with the leg up where he's balanced, it's a good fucking look, right? Something that is deserving of a statue. So Verlander, mainly from the pants, and just how big of a fucking monster he is on the mound too. So I got Verlander.
Yeah, it's a good one. This one's a little atypical. I had a hard time going with pitchers. I'm going Kyle Farnsworth. When he just when he put on the uniform for the Cubs, he was just like 6'4", 200 pounds, absolutely jacked out of his fucking mind. Forearms ripped. Even when he went to the Rays, the Braves, felt like every time he just came in like. And pitchers take all different shapes and sizes, and like I think bad body pitchers are way cooler than good body pitchers, and I think undersized pitchers are cooler, and I think tall, skinny guys. Like I like the atypical pitcher look, but as far as putting on the uniform and looking crystal clear, like Kyle Farnsworth, I mean that's I just see him with the glaze. What do you got for catchers? Catchers is kind of tough.
Catchers is tough, but I like my pick. I went with JT Realmuto. Yeah, sexy guy, right? He's got the tighten up fade, typically with a little bit of something on top. Some of the biggest calves in the game. Oh man,
really?
I forgot. Yeah. So he rarely wears his pants up, but when he does, check those out. A sleeper on the mound too, David Robertson, giant calves, but I didn't pick huge calves. All right, so JT again, just great body guy. Used to play shortstop. Phenomenal athlete back there. Just watching him set up behind the dish. He wears that belt kind of high. He's got long legs, high and tight. Good fitting jersey. Just a stud. JT.
All right, this one's tough for me. Again, I said catchers are tough because like there just aren't a lot of good guys. But I mean, Pudge on those Rangers teams. Pudge coming out in the Rangers teams. He's just like a just perfectly sculpted ball of muscle, the number 7, the single digit on the catcher. There was something about the way he wore his gear too. It was so fucking tight. The chest protector was just like, it was like part of his body almost in a sense. And he wore the 2-piece helmet. And I just, the idea of Pudge standing out there with the face mask under his arm, and he's kind of adjusting the helmet backwards, and he's talking to the shortstop, and he's just kind of getting the bunt defense, and then he's getting behind the plate again. Like, to me, now it's like, but Pudge, there's more to it. I know this is a little bit different than just the uniform, but the forearms were
it all plays into it,
you know.
And how about when he got ran over?
He shaved his arms. Right? He shaved his arms. That's part of it too. We talked about this before.
You have to shave the arms.
Let me see him real quick. Yeah.
Well, they're not. It's stubbly, right? I'll shave him tonight. But hey, Pudge is a great pick. How about when he got ran over the plate and he holds the ball up, right? Gets all fired up. He's a pit bull back there. Those are two good picks. You're going old school, but I like that. I like that. Two different routes.
Yeah. What do you got for first base?
I went a little bit different direction just because I love the guy. I love watching him play, and he's not this, well, no, he is a physical specimen in his own right. I went with Vlad Jr. Right.
I love this one.
I like the buttons open, right? I like the few buttons open. Always have a chain or two. Just he's swaggy out there, and he can fucking get into the splits, right? How many guys that size that can do what he does at the plate can also like go down and scoop one in a full split, and also in a situation, I don't know, I think it was last week that won him the game, right? Made that pick. It might have been against the Yankees in Toronto, bottom of the ninth, boom, went into like a full on fucking split. I would have torn my groin doing that. So Vlad, hell of an athlete, looks good in his uniform.
Yeah, big fucking legs. Like I like dude. Donkey. I like those kind of like we've said, Lester. We'll call them just like Lester legs on corner infielders. They're just fucking great.
For sure.
My first baseman is very obscure, but it's Lyle Overbay. It's a weird one, and it's a super weird one. Baggy jersey, baggy pants, but he wore the baggy 3/4. He's got the big baseball face. Like he looked better than he was, which I think is like the biggest compliment you can play to like a corner infielder. Is like, do you look way better than you are and you play in the big leagues?
And it's a great name, Lyle. It's a good name. It's a good name.
Yeah,
I think he fucking raked me for a little while too, to be honest.
Did he?
We'd have to look up the numbers, but
fucking A, Lyle Overbay.
The first couple of years of my career, everybody did, so it's not saying much.
Holy fuck! How many plate appearances do you think Lyle Overbay had
in his career?
Almost 6,000. Almost 6,000 plate appearances.
How many years did he play?
Fucking 12? 14.
It's a nice career for Lyle.
Yeah, it is a nice career. 1 year he led the National League in doubles. So my first baseman's Lyle Overbay. That's weird. People are going to judge me for it. Don't care. What do you got?
Some of the listeners won't even know who that is.
That's fine by me.
It is fine. All right. So that was first base. We're going second base.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think this is the best in the league right now by far, and one of the best of all time. Love this guy, Brad Miller. So he utility guy, but he plays second base, shortstop, first base. Pants up, no batting gloves, stirrups, and a lot of the times old school spikes, and just mashes fastballs. Right. This is a guy you could transport from now back to the 70s and fits right in. Okay, with a better swing than those guys used to have. So, Brad Miller, love you, and you are my best uniform on my roster for sure.
Like that you ever played with that you saw?
Oh yeah, easy. I just because he's got big caps too. He walks on his tippy toes a little bit, like high ass guy. Good bounce. It's hard to beat. Fuck,
man. Second baseman, I'm gonna take a heavy hitter. This is probably one of the best ones I can take. I want to take Ray Durham, but I have to take Chase Utley. Chase Utley, he would like puff the jersey out a little bit. He just looks so fucking sweet. So Chase Utley's my
good move.
He's also just he just played hard. He just looks sweet. Like I just see him like in second base, like spitting in the outfield, like blowing loogies out of his nose and then turning some crazy double play and like
the farmer's blow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
I didn't get to spend much time with him. I wish I had. Shortstop.
Yeah, we gotta go 5. We gotta go third base.
Third base.
Mm-hmm.
Where is he? Where's my third baseman?
You want me to give you mine?
Yeah, give me yours first. Fuck, where's my third baseman? Who you got?
So third base is really fucking hard. I think third base. I think third base. Third base is one of the hardest. So which is why I'm going to late 90s Chipper Jones. I'm going to late 90s Chipper Jones, who used to wear like double fucking big wrist guards up his forearms. He would wear a turtleneck without long sleeves. The pants down the whole time. He was just like so big league and sweet out there. It's not a really good pick though, but it's Chipper Jones.
No, it's not a bad pick. You're kind of playing that old school vibe. And I had mine here, and just because I think he's just a very dependable, rock solid. He's got a cannon for an arm, and it's just, again, like JT, like Brad Miller, just a good setup, right? Matt Chapman, right?
I was gonna take Chapman for my.
He just looks good in his uniform, right? There's something about it. There's something about it. Just looks good in his uniform. I like him in the Blue Jays uniform. Way more than I do in Oakland. So yeah, that's my guy.
Way more than you do in Oakland.
I think it fits better. He looks better in it. Yeah.
That's
for me. I don't like green and yellow.
I think he's clear cut number 1 right now. I think he's clear cut first baseman, active first baseman. Chappie is. I think he just looks at it. He's got the face. He just like he's perfect. Shortstop. I'm gonna go back to the days. You had to be in community college. This is like 05, 06 when this guy really fucking made a name in the National League. He's a shortstop out of Clemson. I'm taking Khalil Green with like the long gold hair and like the flat bill. Move. Yeah, and like he wouldn't. They were more than 3/4 sleeves. They were like long sleeves that would come down here, but they were super fucking loose. And I think he wore white spikes with like, I like pants up. We'll get to pants up in the outfielders, but there's something about a guy like Khalil Green pants down.
And I remember watching him play, man. He was a fucking stud. I loved watching him play. Yeah. He didn't play that long though, huh?
No, he unfortunately was right at the time when the advanced metrics came out. And right when
he got exposed.
Yeah, where it was like he was the type of guy who would hit 20, 25 homers a year. And you'd be like, oh, it's a shortstop who hits 20 homers a year. And then once they start put the numbers together and like he never walks, he strikes out way more than he should. He doesn't hit that many doubles. He never steals bags, so you're basically just like the only super positive thing he was doing was hit. And then I think the power dipped and
the computer got him, man. It happens.
Hey,
the computer got him.
It was tough.
Kind of got me too, but fine.
Right. What do you got, shortstop?
Shortstop. I got Javi Baez. Yeah, for a lot of reasons. I almost went another direction, but he's got the tape, like the 3-4 inches of tape. He's got his rubber bracelets. He's probably got some beads on the other side. He's got the jersey, down to kind of the middle with it open. Day games, he's got the fucking sunglasses, the eye black, 4 or 5 chains that I don't know how he moves in. I feel like they're going to hit him in his teeth, right? His brand new, beautiful veneer teeth. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Javi looks phenomenal. And he's got the MLB fucking logo right here on the back. So it's the full setup. Yeah. Javi at short.
Good body.
Good body. Yeah. Oh, good body. Yeah.
Because that's something I don't think people he doesn't carry him. I know he's super explosive, but he's never carried himself like that. It was always like just.
No, he's got a good setup though. Yeah, he's explosive.
An unbelievable amount of.
He loves drinking Pepsi though. I'll tell you that. You have way better body if you put the Pepsi down for a little bit.
How much? You don't drink Pepsi?
I don't like it. I mean, if I had to drink one, it would be Coke. I'm a big Coke fan.
Okay.
But I don't do it. I don't drink that either.
Shout out Frank the Tank.
Frank the Tank is great. So we have a soda expert who probably love to talk to you about stuff.
We need a Javi Baez
like
Frank
that.
the Tank soda review.
That is
shit. Back in the day, I like Squirt. Did you ever drink Squirt?
Oh yeah, Squirt's amazing.
Okay, Squirt's phenomenal. Yeah. So it's like Sprite with a little bit more lemon in it, right? Lemon lime or some shit.
Yeah,
it's great. It's great.
Yeah, it's like a Sprite and a lemonade.
When he said Frank the Tank, you know who we fucking overlooked maybe at first base is Frank Thomas.
Oh,
I mean, just talk about a unit.
Early 90s Frank Thomas, back-to-back MVP Frank Thomas.
Yeah, unit. Are we in left field? No,
yep.
You're shortstop.
No,
I said Clear Green. Never mind.
But we're left field. I'll stay on the south side of Chicago in left field. I'm taking Scotty Pasetnik.
Oh, that's good.
Pants
that's
up.
Very good.
Fucking stirrups. Swiping 50 plus bags. His wife was in Playboy. He was just so sweet.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Scotty Pot. All right, so I just went with outfielders because they're interchangeable.
That's fine.
Right?
Yeah.
I went with outfielders. So he's definitely a right fielder. So I would put, if I had to, I'll put Tatis out there because I'm going to keep this guy in center. My favorite thing about Tatis is uniform is he wears like the tweener, like short pants, like super fucking tight, and doesn't roll them down. You can still see the elastic, but it's kind of like he'll wear them sometimes like just at the bottom of the calf or maybe a little bit lower. But he pulls them off. Not many guys can pull them off. And he's a sexy guy. He's probably 6'5". I couldn't believe how tall he was when I saw him for the first time in person. He's got the dreads, big ass sunglasses, kind of similar to Javi. Yeah, and he flies around out there with a fucking cannon. So can't wait to see him back on the field. Got to get him healthy and see him in those pants.
340.
You got a picture of him? Are you looking at him?
Yeah. Well, I was also looking at his contract. I was fucking.
Right. Oh, it's a lot of money. Yeah. But yeah, big fan of those pants.
Those are sweet pants. You got to be a good player to wear those pants.
You do.
Because you got to have a lot of confidence to be wearing those pants. You have to be very confident to be walking around the big leagues in those pants. I mean, any fucking baseball field for that matter, high school field.
Yes.
I'm gonna bury you with this pick. I apologize, but I'm taking Grady Sizemore.
You're burying me?
Grady Sizemore is my next outfielder.
Why is that burying me?
Because Grady Sizemore is I meant if we're competing against each other for a lineup here, I mean, Grady Sizemore might be the best looking outfielder in the history of Major League Baseball. Grady Sizemore.
Better looking than Kiermaier?
Kiermaier is like a local guy here. He's like not a Chicago guy, but he's
I mean the eyes. He's a sexy guy.
Okay. So is he on your list?
No.
Bad uniform number 39 for a center fielder.
All right, I agree with you there. I didn't even know he was number 39.
I'm taking Grady Sizemore, even though he was banged up. Those Indians teams with Travis Hafner were just like sneaky terrifying.
Yeah.
All
right. Center field, Brandon Marsh. And this plays the hair and the big beard play. And uniform's a little baggier. He'll wear that long undershirt, right? Kind of like that 3/4 too. Sometimes he's got his pants up, or most times he has his pants up. But I like the Jason Worth, big hair, big beard, flies around, steals bases. Just he's a ball player. So I got Marsh.
I'm looking at a picture of Brandon Marsh from when he was a senior in high school, and he looks
no beard.
He looks like he's 30 fucking years old.
Really? When he was in high school?
The jaw, in the neck, in the head.
Oh, he's got a square jaw.
Oh, what a baseball face! One of the great baseball faces. Swear to goodness, if you shave that beard too. Okay, right fielder. I'm actually going to stay on the south side of Chicago, and a little bit of Detroit too, I guess. He equal times there. But I'm taking Maglio Ordonez, and part of that is influenced by the Jerry curl in right field, and the not the El Cabal, but just like the big fucking legs, the OEO Maglio. He would slow down in cocktail plays so he could slide, and then he'd have like the grass stain on his right knee or whatever. I'm gonna get some shit for this for taking two White Sox guys, but there's
100%. I think you knew that for sure.
Yeah, that's okay though. Like I guess Maglio in the Tigers uniform too. Like it was just so tight and crisp, and he would wear the tight sleeves before tight sleeves became a thing. So I'm going Mags.
The wet Jerry curl, right? It looked wet sometimes, right?
Dude, it was always wet. It was just straight up Jerry curl.
It was wet. It was wet.
Oh,
That's a good pick, man. Hey, we're gonna have some good starting 9 like uniform teams. As we're going through this, just dudes are popping in my head. I'm like, fuck. All right, so this one's hard to beat too. I'm glad we're ending on the right fielder, Giancarlo Stanton. Right? If we're talking about guys who just look good in the uniform, there's not many that look any better than that guy. Just chiseled, 6'3" ish, maybe 6'4", just built incredibly well out of granite. I'd like to see the uni a little bit tighter.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit tighter.
A little
right?
baggy across the chest, right?
I mean, I'm sure it would. Most people be swimming in that jersey, but I need it tightened just a tick, and I'm sure that the MLB tailors would do that for him.
So then, just a general question then, before we get to Colin. Pants up. You did more pants up, I think, in your second time with the Cubs, and then when you went out to I feel like we got a more of a taste of you with pants up as your career progressed. Pants up. What's up?
Yeah, I didn't love the feeling of pants up, kind of right beneath the knee. Right, I didn't like the way it felt. Feel like it cut the circulation off a little bit. Just I felt more comfortable with the pants down over the spikes, and for me personally, I thought it just looked a little bit better. But I appreciated guys that wore them up. I appreciated the fact that Verlander wears them really tight at the ankle. I like all those looks. Just for me personally, it didn't fit.
Mm-hmm. And I always like the guy who raw dogs a jersey. Greg Maddux used to raw dog a jersey. We kind of overlooked that. Like we should come back in the all raw dog starting 9 or something later in the year. But I just love a guy who raw dogs it.
Well, it's a tough move too, because you get the nipple chafing. You know, it's like yeah, like I got it in basketball too, you know, B team, 8th grade B team, right? Just rubbing on the nipples for, well, they play probably 10 minutes a game. So, but yeah, I couldn't wear the jersey with nothing under it. I couldn't do it for sure, like at all. How are you going to come up with enough guys that didn't wear anything underneath?
I mean, off the top of my head right now, I'm going to go Kruk, Morandini, shortstop starts to get tough a little bit. Yeah, look for maybe Juan Uribe or something. I mean, we could do the all hammer team too. Juan Uribe is on a lot of starting 9s if we're going to go down that path.
Yeah.
Colin, what do you think, man? What? Let me get your 1 through 9, and let's just break these down.
Well, you guys are going to laugh at me.
It's fine. Let's hear this.
I misunderstood the assignment. I don't know what I missed last night in our conversation about it being about uniforms. I thought we were taking 1 through 9 of who we would want in a starting lineup to go like on the field today of current players.
You just got all the Mets, whole Mets lineup.
So that's how I did my starting 9.
Yo, well, your starting 9 fucking sucks already. Let's go 1 through. Well, either way, we love you nonetheless. Let's go.
All right, pitcher Clayton Kershaw, obviously 4.0, 1.8 ERA. Absolutely disgusting. Second in WHIP on the year. Catcher, sneaky good catcher. I don't think he came like about himself going to the Braves, but Travis d'Arnaud, I don't think he gets enough credit as like he's a really good catcher. First baseman, obviously Freddie Freeman, just absolutely tearing it apart right now. Second base, this was where I was torn between. I liked the way Jeff McNeil's playing right now, but I absolutely love watching Jazz Chisholm play. I think
he's having a great day today too. While we're recording, the phone just keeps blowing up with Jazz Chisholm highlights.
He's the
man.
That's
a great pick, man.
I love him. And then third base, obviously mortal enemy right now, but Nolan Arenado, you just can't go wrong with him. Shortstop, I got JP Crawford. I think he's got a good bat right now. Good on base percentage as well. I left out left field. So
Jeff McNeil.
Skip that. Yeah, Jeff McNeil. We'll sub him for the second base to left field. Got the squirrel out there. Center field, obviously Mike Trout, just guys pretty much top 10 in everything, if not top 5, like absolute beast. And then right fielder, especially after the other night, Josh Naylor, just unreal performance. So that was my starting 9 for different reasons, but there it is.
I love it, dude. I love it. I love the fact that
it's pretty good.
That you put the bad guy in there too.
Got to do it.
Yeah, even though you mess it up, I like to hear that. I like to hear that. I'm glad you didn't put more than, how many Mets? You didn't have any Mets in there. Or no, you had one.
I had McNeil, but that was I subbed him with Chisholm.
Mm-hmm. Mets.
Yeah, how fun is Chisholm? How fun is he to watch, man?
It's awesome.
He's turning into a star. It's good to see.
Jake,
sir,
this is our first away from each other studio podcast. Some behind the scenes technical difficulties, but nothing we can't work through.
I got to get on Mama. I don't know if she didn't pay the internet. What the fuck's going on? That's on me. We'll get better. Always trying to get better. Well, let's not forget to have everybody subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. Carl and I are going to be bringing a hell of a show to you guys twice a week. We're going to do our best. Isn't that right, big fella?
That's absolutely right. I mean, like, it is absolutely right. I've even just prepping for this one and getting ready for next week and kind of the ideas we have. It is very encouraging, and I would like to spread that encouragement back to the audience. If there's segment ideas, if there's certainly players from your team you want to hear us talk about, our goal, like, it's not, obviously I'm a Cubs guy, but that's not the point of the show. We want to spread the love of the game, all the stuff that's gone across Major League Baseball. So make sure we're going to have a voicemail line coming. The voicemail line coming is like my fucking favorite thing that I think I've ever dropped will be a voicemail line for the baseball show that we're doing here, and just send us in your fucking questions. Don't be bashful. Tag Jake and stuff. Send him questions. Send me questions, and let's build this up together. Let's have some fun with it. We're very, very eager to get going. We're gonna have some great guests, some great baseball conversations throughout the season, and yeah, man. Well, hopefully you had a good first week, dude. Welcome to the team.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And I was gonna say, and anything that people want to recommend that we could do better, recommendations for segments, like you said, let's hear it all. And I love the voicemail idea. I love that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. I got to go to the gym. I got to get a workout in. We got to stay on top of this, right? I owe you some stuff. I'm going to stay fit. I'm going to stay healthy. So that next time we get together, we got progress. We got progress to make here. Right, guys?
We already do. And I'm going to hit the books when you hit the gym.
All right. And Colin, make sure you get the starting 9 right next time.
I will. Also, go follow our YouTube page. Subscribe there too. We got a bunch of different clips coming out on there, shorts, long clips throughout the interview, full episodes on there. So go subscribe to there too.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you. Colin, you're the man.
Love you guys.